Chicago could have fewer cops on the street. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Today's the deadline for Chicago police to report their coronavirus vaccination status, submit to regular testing if unvaccinated, or go on unpaid leave. The head of their union says do not comply.
Chicago Mayor Democrat Lori Lightfoot not backing down in her vaccine mandate for city workers.
Only way that we can make this real is we've got to hold people accountable.
That as Chicago's police union threatens legal action, expecting up to 50% of its workforce. Cops to be off the job after midnight, prompting some Chicago aldermen like Anthony Napolitano to speak out.
Crime is going to increase. If you think for 1 second criminals don't know this, you have another thing coming and you'll see it Saturday night.
Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Former President Bill Clinton's hospitalized with an infection in California, not COVID-19. A spokesman says he's on the mend and in good spirits. His wife Hillary Clinton checked in on him there last night. The real estate heir Robert Durst is sentenced to life without the possibility of parole for murdering his friend Susan Berman in Los Angeles 21 years ago. He's 78 years old.
Berman's cousin and others spoke, including her adopted son, Sarah Kaufman, who said he's still totally broken over his mother's murder.
You also murdered me. You murdered the person I was. All his dreams and all his hopes gone. He no longer exists. I am a whisper, a wraith of who I once was. My mother's murder and the events of the last 40 years will never leave me. You satisfied, Bob?
Before sentencing Durst to life in prison, the judge said Susan sounded like an incredible woman. Durst's attorneys have indicated they will appeal. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
At least 15 people are reported killed in an explosion during Friday prayers at a mosque in southern Afghanistan. There's no claim of responsibility, but Islamic State extremists view Shiite Muslims, which these were, as having abandoned Islam and worthy of death. And they took responsibility for a mosque bombing last week. America's listening to Fox News.
Big news from Simply Safe Home Security. Okay. Actually, I think the horns are too much. That's better. Big news. The new wireless outdoor security camera is here. Yes, Simply Safe's award-winning home security just got even better, taking whole home protection to a whole new level. Okay, I'm missing the horns. Simply Safe is celebrating this new camera by offering free shipping for a limited time. Visit simplysafe.com today.
If you're tired of big cable bills, you can get Newsmax TV for free. Millions are watching Newsmax. Available now on major cable systems or for free on smart TVs like Samsung, LG, and Vizio. Find it streaming on Roku, Xumo, Pluto, Amazon Fire, TiVo, Apple TV, and more. 7 million Americans have downloaded the free Newsmax app on their smartphones. It takes just seconds. Then watch us anytime, anywhere. Forbes calls Newsmax a news powerhouse. Find out why. Start watching today.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 6:03 is our time. We have partly cloudy skies, some heavy rain earlier in the overnight hours. Again, 59 right now in Columbia. Our high today will only be around 60 degrees. Tonight, if you're heading out for high school football, cloudy, becoming clear. The overnight low around 40, and tomorrow sunny and a high of 62 degrees. Good morning. There is still no word on any possible injuries in that vehicle crash a few hours ago, a crash into a Columbia business overnight. Columbia police and firefighters responding to the 1900 block of North Providence Road. They found a vehicle halfway into a business. ABC 17 News camera crews on scene report officials have been using flashlights, checking for additional damage. 93.9 The Eagle News reaching out to Columbia firefighters for more information about what happened. It appears there are no serious injuries at this time. We'll update you as soon as we hear back from the Columbia Fire Department. Meantime, Missouri's governor is accusing the St. Louis Post-Dispatch newspaper of hacking the State Department of Elementary and Secondary Education website. Governor Parson says a Post reporter accessed source codes and then converted and decoded data to obtain Missouri teachers' personal information, including Social Security numbers. The newspaper disagrees, saying its reporting was responsible, that they were pointing out flaws on the website. The Post emphasizes it held off on publishing the story until DESE could fix the data risk. The Post says it informed state officials about that data risk, saying the data risk left 100,000 Social Security numbers vulnerable to public disclosure. The newspaper's attorney says the reporter did the responsible thing. The victim in Columbia's latest homicide was the assistant to the vice chancellor of Mizzou's College of Agriculture. Columbia police say 52-year-old James Hundle was found by detectives late Wednesday morning in his home. He was shot to death at home is in the 4800 block of Marble Cedars Drive near Scott Boulevard. It's also near Longview Park. ABC 17 News reports Hundle served as the assistant to the vice chancellor and the dean of Mizzou's College of Agriculture, Food, and Natural Resources. The college dean tweeting Thursday saying the Mizzou family has lost a beloved friend and also a colleague. A man from Central Missouri's California is jailed without bond this morning. He's charged with killing his father and then headbutting a sheriff's deputy.
The Montauk County prosecutor has charged James Collier with first-degree murder and assault. California police called in troopers early Wednesday for help with the death investigation at an apartment at 310 South East Street. There, officers found a dead man in the apartment and Collier with blood on his clothing. Collier headbutted a deputy, but later told officers under interrogation that this was my fault. He admitted to fighting with the victim in another interrogation, saying he didn't remember exactly what happened. Patrol does not confirm the name of the person killed, but reports say the victim's name is William Collier, and James Collier is William's son. John Marsh, the Eagle, 93.9.
Columbia Police are encouraging you to attend the Tuesday emergency community meeting that will be held about the increasing number of fentanyl-related deaths in the community. Police Chief Jeff Jones says there have been at least 22 overdose deaths in Columbia this year, and he said 7 happened in August, another 4 happened in September.
It's really become an issue that we cannot manage on our own, and it begs us as a community to step forward and do something.
Chief Jones, CPD, Columbia firefighters, and the Health Department organizing Tuesday night's town meeting at Hickman High School. That one will start at 7. The Chief and the Health Department, Scott Clardy, will be discussing the issue in detail with host Fred Perry tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, right here on 93.9 The Eagle on the CEO Roundtable. And more than 300 job seekers and students packed a job and education expo in Boonville Thursday, dropping off resumes to work at Kawasaki and dozens of other Boonville area employers. Boonville Economic Development Director Gigi Quinlan McGreevy is praising the Isle of Capri for providing space for the event. People literally lined up out the door wanting to work. Caterpillar Central Bank, Boonville School District, Mizzou, just some of the other employers on hand. There were other employers, including CNR Markets, McDonald's as well. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this morning by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean. For all your heating needs, log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07. In sports, the Missouri Tigers facing number 21 Texas A&M tomorrow morning at Faroe Field in Columbia. Mizzou is 3-3 coming off a 48-35 win over North Texas. Aggies beat number 1 Alabama last week. Reminder that it's Gold Rush game tomorrow morning. Mizzou fans encouraged to wear gold. Kickoff set for tomorrow morning at 11:03 a.m. And, of course, we'll have it for you on the Tiger Radio Network and a couple of our stations, many of them here at Zimmer, including KCMQ and KTGR. In citing philosophical differences, the Cardinals firing their manager, Mike Schilt, firing coming just a week after the Cardinals were eliminated by the Dodgers in the National League wildcard game. KSDK's Frank Cusimano, the sports director at Channel 5 in St. Louis, reporting that Mike Schilt was fired over the telephone. Our sports is brought to you this morning by Steve's Pest Control. You can go online, stevespestcontrol.com, to stop the fall pest from invading your home. It's 6:08.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track meteorologist Kevin Schneider. We've got one last day of showers before the nice weather moves in this weekend. We're going to be off and on throughout the day with a few rumbles of thunder mixed in as temperatures slowly fall into the middle 50s by this afternoon. We'll start to push that rain out from west to east this evening, leaving us cool and dry overnight with lows near 40, but bouncing back nicely on Saturday with highs in the low 60s. I'm meteorologist Kevin Schneider, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on Hot Talk and Breaking News 93.9 The Eagle.
Weather also brought to you by Steve's Pest Control, stevespestcontrol.com. 59 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
6:09, traffic check, midmohires.com here on 93.9 The Eagle. Not seeing or hearing anything you want to know about other than we've got a vehicle into a business on North Providence Road. Authorities still trying to determine what happened there. There's no indication right now of the extent of any injuries, if any. We'll get you updated as soon as we hear back from the Columbia Fire Department. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle, broadcasting live from the Zimmer Radio Group World Headquarters. This is Wake Up Columbia.
Wake up, Columbia. It's time to start your day. Wake up, Columbia. Hot Talk is on the way. Wake up, Columbia. To hear the latest news. Wake up, Columbia. To Branden, Rathert, and the Eagle Crew.
Now, here's the host of the show, Branden Rathert.
I can't wait for the weekend.
There's a reason we all wear we're wearing, oh my goodness, now I can't say it. We are wearing red today to remember everyone deployed. Whew. That was hard to spit out.
I don't believe Kurt and Jack write the headlines. I don't. I believe those are written by, and I don't know that the editors who write those are even based in St. Louis. I've heard they're from out of state.
They're written by somebody who likes the governor even less. That's my contention.
I understand, but yeah, I definitely don't think the two reporters do. But no, I appreciate you bringing up the story. But what it boils down to, Branden, is the governor is convinced it was a hack. The governor is saying that it will cost $50,000 to investigate. He wants Locke Thompson, the Cole County prosecutor, to investigate. He's asked the attorney general to investigate. I did notice Sandy Karsten was standing right behind the governor, who's the director of public safety. She's oversees the highway patrol. But the newspaper, if what the newspaper is saying, and again, who knows, we weren't there, but the newspaper said they brought it to the state's attention that it was a problem, and they gave the state some time to didn't publish it immediately, because otherwise, if hackers really wanted to see the Social Security numbers, they would have been able to, but the Post held off on it, and they said that they were trying to expose that there was a problem with the state website and that they did the responsible thing. I know we don't have a lot of time this morning, but at some point we probably should mention that there have been hearings, guys, at the Capitol. I've covered hours and hours of hearings that Doug Ritchie has called a chairman, talking about how bad the IT infrastructure is in the state of Missouri. He's talked about how bad it is, and there's broken page after broken page, and I went to every one of them, but this never came up as far as Social Security numbers. So they talked about how ancient it is. It literally, what they said is that the technology is so old that the state is still using fax machines to communicate in many cases. But they're saying the technology is so old that a lot of the people that programmed it have either retired or they're dead.
And if you're watching on YouTube this morning, you'll see Hannah's raising her hand. She wants to know, what is a fax machine that you're speaking of?
I know what a fax machine is.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the debate stems from from the governor's characterization of it as a hack. And so people are like, well, he doesn't understand computers, because although you couldn't see it on the face of the page, you could click a button to reveal codes. And apparently the numbers were somehow embedded in the HTML code. I don't have a computer science degree, so I don't know exactly how it works, but people are saying it's not a hack. It was basically publicly available. I don't think this way the statute's written that you have to have a computer science degree and be like a guy in black in the basement with some sort of crazy thing. But a lot of people are arguing over what's the definition of a hack. And, the statute doesn't talk about a hack. It talks about tampering with computer evidence. Right. And so I think the governor, I mean, what's he going to do? He has to assure he has to try to assure the people of the state that their information is safe. He has to take corrective action. And so I think, he had Desi pulled it down and he said, hey, this is an issue. And I think, too, do I think the Post-Dispatch was just, doing some research and then saying, so were there did someone tip them off? And so, yes, you have and people are bringing it up, you should disclose if you see a vulnerability, but did someone see a vulnerability and rather than disclosing, go to the Post-Dispatch where there are multiple people saying, hey, check this out, you can do this. So you do wonder who else had access to this and for how long and how many people did. And so I think the governor having an investigation is important to figure that out.
Technically, everybody had access to it because you didn't have to hack. But I agree. Somebody told the Post-Dispatch instead of going to IT. So there are some dastardly deeds under this, because if you know there's a problem, you don't go to a news outlet. You call the dude in AT. Hey, Bob, this is Joe down in accounting. I think you got a problem you might want to look at. You don't call the biggest newspaper in the state of Missouri.
I understand. I would say this, though, but if you're a reporter and I look at the state websites quite a bit to get information, I don't look at Desi as much because generally it's probably more complex and their board meetings are once a month. So I don't know the page that they're even referring to. It's been taken down. But if the Post-Dispatch was called by someone who was saying there was a problem with the website, there's Social Security numbers on there, the newspaper would be, they did, I mean, the story itself, to me, is good journalism. The story about the fact that there was Social Security numbers on there, and if you read it closely, it mentions it goes back this goes back to the Nixon and Greitens administrations, too, maybe a decade. But now the governor's saying the way they went about it to decode is the issue. I don't know. I'm just saying that it's still news that there were Social Security numbers out there, and had somebody been able to access it, maybe they did, maybe they didn't, that is troubling.
Yeah, I mean, they broke the story, but again, how many of us have gotten those emails or letters that says, oh, by the way, you shopped at Target, you're in for, or whatever, business, and your information. So tell Desi. Desi sends all the teachers a letter saying, hey, your information might have been compromised. That is a story, but I think the way they went about it was wrong.
All right, so 3 Mikes in the news this morning. Governor Mike Parson, Cardinals manager Mike Schultz, and I go back to our third Mike in this trifecta. I'm thinking a lot of folks laughed a couple weeks ago when Mike Shannon, the now retired legendary Cardinals broadcaster, said this on air.
Tell you what, though, the word on the street is that they're going to sell this franchise. We won't get a better duo, I'll tell you that, than the two DeWitts.
Mike Shannon talking about word on the street is franchise is for sale, and everybody, oh, no, that's not happening. Cardinals manager Mike Shildt, who's done a tremendous job over the 3.5 seasons he's been in charge. Wow, fired yesterday.
It surprised me, and again, Mike Shannon's got his finger on the pulse. I mean, I was a little surprised that he did say that, but, and there was immediate denial and stuff. I was surprised to see the manager, Mr. Shildt, get let go. I thought he did a fine job. Didn't always agree with him. Quite frankly, I didn't agree with him on a number of things, but I do think he did a good job.
9th inning, wild card game. You put in who?
I would not have put in Reyes. There's no doubt about it. But if you look at Frank Cusimano pointed out, I think third best record if you look at the last 3 years, thereabouts. And the other thing about him is he's not the guy that goes out and gets the free agents and everything. I also was baffled by the report he was fired over the telephone.
As a matter of fact, we're going to get more into that. What a way to get fired from your job. I think it's the philosophical difference. I think a lot of times is catch-all. We just don't like the guy. We know you have the third best record in all of baseball over the past 3 years. We are philosophically opposed to your good management skills.
Can you imagine if we go for this mandatory vaccine?
The Glenn Beck Program.
America, dear God Almighty, you will deserve everything you get.
Glenn Beck.
You deserve it.
Weekdays at noon.
We're sheep.
On 93.9 The Eagle.
My name is David Bale. I'm a project sales exterior specialist with True Sun Exteriors. Our team approach is fantastic. We have a whole network of associates in place that make it a seamless transition. We have an excellent operations manager, and he makes sure that the right team is at the right job and the materials and everything is coordinated like that. A homeowner invests a lot of money and they invest a lot of time, and you wait, sometimes 2-3 months to get things, and if the wrong thing comes in or you end up having a problem, it's is a dissatisfying feeling for them. So we have those processes in place to make sure that we can get that done the first time correctly.
The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com.
Bad seats at the game.
Those guys are so small, I can't even see the ball.
Great seats at the game.
Dude, I think he sweated on me.
When it comes to your water, go for greatness and call Culligan of Columbia. They'll conduct several tests using your water and Culligan water. Like the T test. Your water will look scary, and Culligan's water will look delicious. Nothing compares to Culligan. Contact them today and ask about having Culligan water in your home for just $19.95 a month for the first 3 months. CulliganMidMissouri.com.
It's a sunny fall day. You're shopping with family. You hear a gunshot. People are screaming and running. Are you prepared for an extreme event or a home invasion? This is Joe Gilbert. You must identify your risks and decide how you will react in advance. If you own a firearm for protection, you need a robust plan and the requisite skills to emerge victorious. I'm inviting you to develop your personal action plan and begin refining your fighting skills during our weekend workshop on October 23rd and 24th. Don't be caught unprepared. Find out more at joegilbert.us. That's joegilbert.us.
Marcus by Goldman Sachs offers personal loans with no fees, ever. Banks offer coffee. So what's more important, a Marcus by Goldman Sachs loan with no fees that could help consolidate debt, or bank coffee that tastes like bank coffee? you can money. Visit Marcus.com to learn more about saving, borrowing, and investing from Marcus by Goldman Sachs.
Investing involves risk and investments may lose value. Brokerage and investment advisory services by Goldman Sachs & Company, LLC. Member FINRA SIPC. Lending and deposits products provided by Goldman Sachs Bank USA. Member FDIC.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like the course keeps changing right before your eyes. And in order to maneuver it, you need an expert by your side. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PC and tech solutions you need to help you get out in front and stay ahead of the game. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
The Grey Panther and his team of heroes at Hodges Roofing and Siding have been scouring the city, searching for siding supplies. But Sergeant Storm has taken advantage of the pandemic, and most materials for siding, windows, gutters, and doors are in short supply. So, for the very first time, Hodges Roofing and Siding is giving you a
Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. Inspired and on fire. 93.9 The Eagle.
A commission set up by President Biden to consider potential changes to the Supreme Court will have a preliminary report ready by a deadline.
And that gets us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell on 93.9 The Eagle. Preliminary report. What are you finding in there so far? What do we know?
One of Biden's campaign promises to look at the court, it actually isn't recommending expansion. And it's actually the commission was not charged with making recommendations, although it will issue a report. And so they're basically saying, it's not really looking at expansion, but it is looking at the term limit issue, because right now judges are appointed for life. And so they are saying that the kind of recommendation, in quotes, that people seem to agree on most is, hey, maybe there should be term limits for justices. Interesting. But we will see. I think the full report is actually not due out for a month.
Term limits. You like that idea?
No, I don't.
No, they should be a lifetime appointment.
Yes.
How come?
Because that's the way it's always been done.
Okay, I get. All right.
No, and I think.
How can we do it that way? Well, it's the way it's always been done. We can't change that. And people use that for a lot of. Yeah.
Well, and you're trying to keep politics out of the courts, and I think term limits, you get into timing, and I just think it invites additional politics injected into the system. Now they're just appointed for life. Yeah. I like that.
And there's no politics in it.
None whatsoever. Also, court news. Yesterday, I don't know exactly what the motion was, but Biden administration is still trying to get the new Texas abortion ban law, at least stayed during the court proceedings. And the Fifth Circuit said no. So for now, the law is in place. And they're thinking, perhaps that Texas law goes to the Supreme Court. Of course, there's already an abortion case pending at the Supreme Court, so there's a lot going on in that area. But for now, a win for Texas and another loss for the Biden administration.
Another one.
We're also talking about January 6th again. That's been in the news this week, but now I guess the Congressional Committee is wanting to schedule a vote against Steve Bannon to recommend criminal contempt charges against him. And then Joe Biden is on the campaign trail this week. So that's really interesting. There's some races that are way closer than they should be. So they're calling out the big guns, Joe Biden, to go try to help these folks.
By the way, one of the folks she's campaigning for, we are nominating for one of our losers of the week. We are nominating winners and losers of the week coming up 8:35 this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle, 6:30. Fox News is here. Bill Clinton hospitalized. What happened there? Then Brian Hauswirth, 631. There has been a homicide in West Columbia. Then we get to meet this young play-by-play guy in Centralia. Irl Shannon is here.
That check of weather brought to you by Steve's Pest Control. Call Steve and the pros at Steve's Pest Control today to help stop the fall pests from invading your home. Call or go online to stevespestcontrol.com. It's 62 degrees.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. The Trump-era Remain in Mexico policy could be reinstated next month. The White House planning to comply with the judge's order to restore the policy, which makes asylum seekers wait in Mexico ahead of hearings. The move hinges on Mexico's cooperation. This as new data comes in on the border.
1.5 million apprehensions last fiscal year. We expect to get the last month of the fiscal year, September. We get those numbers in the next few days. CBP says this week it apprehended 2 MS-13 gang members, among others with convictions for sexual assault of a minor.
Fox's Rich Edson. And former President Bill Clinton recovering after being admitted to a California hospital for an infection which spread to his bloodstream.
He is in the ICU, but only for security reasons. Clinton is reportedly walking around and joking with hospital staff.
Fox's Todd Pyro. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It's 6:31 right now in Columbia. It's 56 degrees. We're expecting a sunrise at 7:17. Today's high only about 59 to 60 degrees. Mostly cloudy tonight, then becoming clear, low near 40. The outlook for tomorrow, sunshine and a high of 62 degrees. Good morning, and here are some of the stories we are working on. Columbia police and firefighters right now are still investigating to determine why a vehicle crashed into General Printing early this morning in the 1900 block of North Providence Road. The incident happened at about 2:15 this morning. ABC 17 crews reporting the vehicle ended up halfway into the printing business. KMIZ reports the vehicle also knocked a light pole over and that CPD officers were searching the area with flashlights looking for additional damage. General Printing's owner says the vehicle caused a lot of damage to his property. Again, authorities still on scene this morning. That is just north of Interstate. It is not far from McKnight Tire in that area. Missouri's governor, meantime, has asked the Cole County prosecutor Locke Thompson and the State Highway Patrol to investigate the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. He accuses the newspaper of hacking the State Department of Elementary and Secondary Education website. The newspaper disagrees, saying it informed state officials of a data risk that left 100,000 Social Security numbers vulnerable to public disclosure. The governor briefing Capitol reporters.
Through a multi-step process, an individual took the records of at least 3 educators, decoded the HTML source code, and viewed the Social Security number of those specific educators.
Governor says the Post-Dispatch reporter did not have permission to decode. The newspaper says it waited to publish its story about the State Department of Elementary and Secondary Education until DESE could fix the problem. Newspaper attorney says the reporter did the responsible thing. The governor disagrees. He wants a $50,000 investigation. Detectives are investigating a homicide that happened in a home on Marble Cedars Drive in West Columbia. CPD investigators say 52-year-old James Hundle was found shot to death after they responded to the house for a well-being check. CPD says there were factors suggesting a suspicious death. They did not elaborate. If you have any information, Crime Stoppers 573-875-TIPS. And a man from mid-Missouri's California is still jailed without bond this morning. He is charged with first-degree murder for the apparent choking death of a victim only known in court documents as WAC. The suspect is James Collier. His initial arraignment date has not been set. My colleague John Marsh at our Jefferson City station KWS is reporting that the victim was James Collier's father. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this hour by Mid-America Mortgage. Check out midamericamortgage.us and apply for a loan now on your dream home. Our news time is 6:34. In sports, the Missouri Tigers facing number 21 Texas A&M tomorrow morning for Learfield in Columbia. Mizzou 3-3 coming off that win against North Texas 48-35. Aggies upsetting number 1 Alabama last week in Kyle Field or at Kyle Field. Tomorrow is the Gold Rush game. Fans encouraged to wear gold. Kickoff set for tomorrow morning, 11:03. Right here in Columbia, weather should be perfect. And the Cardinals firing their manager yesterday, Mike Schilt. The firing comes just 1 week after the Cardinals were eliminated by the Dodgers in the National League wild card game. Mr. Mozeliak citing philosophical differences, although he did not elaborate. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:35. Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. The roads right now are quiet. Those of you who live in North Columbia will notice as you're heading to work this morning, as of right now, there is still a vehicle that has crashed into General Printing in North Columbia, 1900 block of North Providence. Light pole has also been knocked over. There's still CPD in the area with flashlights looking for additional damage. So when you see all that activity, that is what has happened, and we're waiting to hear back from fire about the extent of any injuries, if at all, if any injuries at all. If you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, the 93.9 The Eagle.
Nice to meet you. It's good to see you. Thank you. Are you going to play Irl Shannon on her?
Hello, Mr. Boom Shakalaka has arrived.
Irl Shannon. Young man we've been knowing for a while, kind of claim to fame. You're like mid-Missouri famous, dude. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel pretty good. I enjoy knowing that everyone knows my name around Centralia, and it's pretty cool.
Irl Shannon, his kid we met last year, young man, I'll say, was doing. How long you been doing play-by-play of Centralia High School football games?
This is my second season.
Second season. Got into this, and you were broadcasting on your dad's Facebook page.
That is correct.
All right. And then, as usual, like government entities got involved, and they shut you down. And Earl, how old are you?
12.
12. That's what the government does. I know you're only 12. I don't know if you have a full understanding of it, but that's what they do. They like to ruin a good time, typically.
Wow, way to
I know, right?
Way to impart sunshine and rainbows on a Feel Good Friday.
Right? Just know that, my friend. So he's been doing play-by-play, got back into doing it. Turns out, regardless of age, he happens to be really good, and he is a charming young man. He's in the studio this morning here on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle, along with Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Brian Hauswirth is here.
Good morning. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And there's Hannah, the producer.
Good morning.
As a matter of fact, Hauswirth, can you scoot over a little bit? You're out of camera range here. Okay. You have to get close. And that's Irl Shannon there.
How's this?
That you'll see if you're watching on YouTube. Search 93.9, 93.9 The Eagle Live, and you'll be able to watch what's going on. If you want, put the YouTube up on your smart TV. Get all the day's latest news and opinion, and we'll have some fun with it. So how aren't you supposed to be like on your way to school in Centralia?
Well, luckily, my school district is smart enough to know that I'm a famous broadcaster, and they can't, and they decided in advance to cancel school on this exact Friday. This so happens Hannah requested me to be on the radio.
I pulled some strings. What can I say?
Man, when it comes to Centralia, the second biggest city in Boone County,
third.
Hannah's got some pull there.
Not really.
So you obviously have charm. Does your because when I was a kid, I thought I had charm. Turns out I was just a smart aleck. And I was going to say smart ass, but I remember you're only 12, so I'm trying not to use language in front of you. Sorry. And I would get in trouble a lot by my dad because my charm got me into trouble. Does your mouth ever get you into trouble, Earl?
Yes, sometimes my mouth moves a little too fast that I can't stop any of it.
Sounds very familiar, Earl.
Not only did I do that as a child, I continue to do it at the age of 50. So the other thing that I admire about you, besides your charm, you've got the self-awareness. I think very mature for a young man at the age of 12. You know right now what you want to do, and you went full-fledged on this. So you went to your parents and you told them, hey, I want to do play-by-play. I want to do it live on Facebook, on Dad's Facebook page. How did your parents respond when you said, I want to do this?
Well, I didn't really go up to them and tell them that. It was kind of like I told them that I see that there's a need. Only 2 people in one family can go to this football game. I want to live stream the game. And from there on, I just started calling it live, and I was like, I got this.
Man, awesome. Your entrepreneurial spirit, and that's the thing with marketing and being an entrepreneur, you recognize there is a need. Nobody else has recognized this need yet, and we know a couple of things about Centralia. We know 4 things. Number 1, it's the second biggest city in Boone County.
Third.
We know that they are passionate about their law enforcement, and we know that they love football. You recognized the need. You came in, but your mom and dad were like, yeah, we're all on board with this.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Did they say to you, Earl, but here are some things that you should think about? Did they, I don't want to say dissuade you, but did they bring up, Earl, here's things that you should also consider?
They did kind of tell me that on a ride. I forget to what game it was. I think it was one that was up in Macon, and they pretty much told me that you also gotta think about I forget the wording that they exactly use, but you gotta know what you're saying and do it correctly is the term. Like
Hauswirth as a play-by-play journalist, newsman extraordinaire. Accurate?
Oh, yeah, and I'll tell you, I've heard, first of all, I love your attitude and your positive attitude and your preparation. I just think that, and I'd love to get to hear you call a game on one of our stations. I think that would be great. I want to ask, if I may, Earl, about your preparation, because it's obvious you know the teams, and listen to some of your stuff, you know the teams and the opponents. How much time does that take to prepare? And I think the other thing is, for people who are listening, they may not realize it, but in football, and you do a great job of it, you have people rotating in and out, people coming off the field. It might be a tight end that comes in. It's hard to catch all that when you're trying to explain and to see it, but that's not easy to do when you have all those players rotating in and out.
Yeah, football is one of the hardest sports to broadcast just because they got helmets on, and you can't tell who the player is without seeing the number.
Right.
And the way I kind of adjust to that is I kind of know who's playing each position by what I look through. So then if I don't 100% know who the player is at that position at that moment, I just go off who I know normally plays that position. So I call by their name, and most of the preparation I do, I get done during school. You get a lot of stuff done in extra time during school.
You know, Earl, I love that you say
awesome.
that. Have I ever told you the story about how Hannah and I met 5-6 years ago?
Oh, boy.
Hannah, who is a product of the Centralia school system. We were
Class of 2018.
Class 2018. Mm-hmm. We were talking about younger people listening to 93.9 The Eagle, because a lot of people incorrectly stereotype, well, it's only old white guys that listen to talk radio, but we do something very different here on Wake Up Columbia, and it works for us. We're talking about younger people listening, and Hannah calls in one morning. I think she was...
Well, I texted.
I think she was 15 at the time. And she says, I go to school in Centralia, and I listen to you guys all the time. How do you listen? Well, we have that app, which anybody can download for free onto their smartphone, 93.9 The Eagle. And while she was doing it, she was in class listening to the radio station and texting us.
Yeah, Branden had asked me if I could call in, and I had to say, no, I can't. I'm kind of sitting in band class right now.
So it sounds kind of like a common theme. How do your kids react to you? And how do your students? Are you like, oh, man, that's Irl Shannon. He's like Centralia famous. He's mid-Missouri famous.
It's not really like that. They treat me just like any other student. But I do want to say all my classmates really appreciate me and like me. It's amazing the support they give me.
That's wonderful.
Sounds a lot like Stephanie, doesn't he? Everybody likes me and appreciates me.
I mean, just the facts, right, Earl? Just the facts.
So then, do you get in trouble? You a pretty good kid? Do you get in trouble once in a while?
I like to think of myself as a pretty good kid, but every now and then I go a little overboard. You can ask my dad over there.
Yeah. What's the last thing you got in trouble for at home or at school? Or typically, what is it you get in trouble for?
It's probably the Branden thing. Sometimes I do get a little smart aleck.
One time, my dad.
Hey, is this an appropriate story to tell Earl? I want you to think about this.
Maybe I should check with his dad first. we're sitting. I was probably about your age, man. I was like 12 years old, and I looked very much like you. I wasn't as handsome as you were. I was 12 years old. We're sitting around the dinner table one night, and it was really weird because in my family, we didn't grow up eating around the dinner table. Get your own, sit in front of the TV and watch Three's Company. That's what we did as a kid, yeah. But I remember we happened to be sitting around the dinner table one night, and I said something, and my dad, and by the way, Earl's dad, Kent, is here. Are you cool if I use the AAS word? It's not. Okay, all right.
The what? Are you able to spell that word?
The AASS word. That word.
Okay.
So I'm sitting there at the table, and I say something, and my dad, he's eating pasta, man, like with a spoon. He says something, and he said, Branden, he said, don't be a smart ass. And I said, well, Dad, it's better than being a dumbass. Pow! I got backhanded, and Earl, he didn't miss a beat. He kept eating that pasta. He didn't look up for that. Boom! Kept eating that pasta. You want to hang out? We do a Dolment of the Day. It's something we do every morning, like 6:57. Kind of dumb people in the news doing dumb things. And I thought, since you're here, we'd let you read that. If you could hang out for a few more minutes, Dad, you got to get going. Is there anything else that you want to add? Anything else that we haven't asked you about?
If I could just add one thing to Earl, and then I'll have to run for the news, and I'll let you guys finish the segment. But the biggest thing I would say is listening to you and the preparation. And I don't think people realize it. You do. I think you understand it better than anybody. But you calling the games you're calling in Centralia, whether it's Highland, whether it's Centralia and Macon, it literally is not any different than if you were to be calling, or anybody were to be calling, the Chiefs and the Ravens. In fact, I would argue calling the Chiefs and the Ravens in those NFL games is easier. It's easier. Everybody knows. I mean, and Al Michaels probably has 10 helpers up there in the booth, by the way. Not to mention I'm not picking on Al Michaels. I'm just saying it gets easier at that level. If you can do what you're doing, and you're doing a great job, you can do that, but keep up the great work. I'm really happy for you.
All right, so coming up 6:53, we'll continue our visit with Irl Shannon. He's a 12-year-old young man. He's been doing play-by-play on his dad's Facebook page via live feeds for Centralia High School football. This kid recognized a need because only two family members per player, or two family members total allowed in the Centralia High School football games.
Per player.
A lot of people couldn't go and see the games. Earl recognized the need. He is fulfilling that need. Coming up, I'm going to tell you how we can monetize this thing. One call does it all. Heavy rain this morning. We're expecting more rain today, and here it is. It is the middle of October the 15th. Leaves are going to be falling. Yard gets messy. I don't want to be doing that kind of stuff. And that's why I would just encourage you. Call Salter. Salter Lawn Service. One call does it all, but I would hurry and do it. This is the middle of October, and this thing, a lot of times, this stuff that happens, boom, in a burst of like a matter of 7, 10, 14 days. All of a sudden, oh my God, these leaves, I can't clean them. And then people are trying to call them. I'd call them today, seriously, like after 7, 8 o'clock, call Salter Lawn Service. Say, hey, man, can you hook me up with a leaf removal, with a yard cleaning? Can you do that? I would do it today. Do it here on a Feel Good Friday. Salter, one call, does it all.
Thanks for making Wake Up Columbia your favorite morning show. 93.9 The Eagle.
We have the latest breaking news report on former President Bill Clinton. He's now been hospitalized. Fox News medical contributor Marty McCary is with us. Marty, we wish the president well. We obviously have political differences.
I thought that was a great move by Sean Hannity yesterday, wishing Bill Clinton well. So what is up with Bill Clinton, Fox? We'll have more on this story coming up at 7 o'clock, then at 7:03. The governor's office versus the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Brian Hauswirth has details on that. And then Kind of I think, I don't know all the circumstances, but what a cruddy way to get fired. Talking about Cardinals former manager Mike Shildt. Stephanie and I will get into that at 7:10 on Wake Up Columbia. There is Stephanie, Brian, Hannah, the producer. I am Branden Rathert. I'm super excited here on a Feel Good Friday. Irl Shannon, young man, met him when he was 11 years old, doing play-by-play on his dad's Facebook page, doing play-by-play for Centralia High School football, recognized a need, enough very limited attendance at Centralia football games. He said, more people want to know what's going on. Dad, let me get onto your Facebook page and broadcast these games. And he does. I'm serious. Somebody, Hannah, needs to set up something with one of our senior Wake Up Columbia family members and see if we can't get you in on a broadcast one night on the radio, because and I'm not kidding. I believe in your talent so much so I'm going to become your agent. We're going to make some money off this, dude.
I'd be careful with that, Earl.
Earl's dad is here. Kent is joining us. When Earl first had this idea, what was Mom and Dad's reaction?
We thought it was something that, like Earl thought, that we would supply a need for some folks, because with COVID last year, the first home game, that was the only home game we had all last year, was against Hauswirth, and that we'd give it a try. We did try to set up Earl his own Facebook page, but because of his age, we didn't get that to work that he could do live. So he just started doing it live on my page. And, the rest of the games we played all last season were all away games. So he supplied a need, and it's sort of unique this year that, he doesn't have a whole lot at the home games following, but away games, he still has a great number of folks that listen in and watch. So
how cool is that? And Earl, one big thing we've been debating all week, Centralia, Ashland. We've been talking about the population. I said Centralia is the second most populous city in Boone County, depending on where you go. Stephanie fact-checked me on this. And where'd you get your info from?
With the numbers you had emailed me previously.
But Ashland,
you were wrong.
Ashland is the second biggest city in Boone County. But all week long, we've been hyping Centralia v. Ashland. Stephanie, older woman in Ashland. Hannah from Centralia. But let's talk foot. And they're going to arm wrestle later if you want to stick around and watch this. But if Southern Boone were to play do they play each other? Do you know, Earl? All the time, or once a year, just occasionally?
The only recent times they played has been in the playoffs. Last season they played in the playoffs, and I think 2012 and 2013 they both played in the playoffs.
2012 and 2013. You were 4 years old then, and you know the history on that. That's phenomenal. If they were to play today, who would win?
I think it would be a pretty good matchup. Both teams have both played Mexico and Hallsville, and both teams lost by about the same amount. It's hard to tell really in a blowout whether or not score-wise, whether or not the teams are going to be even. But I think it would be a pretty close game if they played today.
All right. Irl Shannon, sorry, we ran out of time. We were too excited to talk to you. We've run out of time to let you do the Dolman of the Day. But did you have fun coming in?
Yes.
All right. Let's give it up for Irl Shannon and his father, Kent, and the support that he gets from his family. We are so grateful that you would take time. And, Dad, thank you we appreciate this. Something I've been wanting to do for a long time. So Hannah, the producer, and Kent Shannon and Irl Shannon, thanks for making this happen today on 93.9 The Eagle.
former president is in intensive care. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Bill Clinton's in a California hospital with an infection. A spokesman says he's on the mend, and he had a visit from Hillary Clinton last night.
His doctors say the former president, who was 75, was given IV antibiotics and fluids, and that he's responding well to them and may be able to go home soon. Clinton had a urological infection that had developed into sepsis. The Clinton Foundation says he was in the Los Angeles area for private events related to his charitable organization. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
An accused school shooter plans to plead guilty on all counts today in Florida to murders in 2018.
Nicholas Cruz admits it was he who stormed Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High, shooting and killing 17 people. He's now reportedly going to plead guilty at a Fort Lauderdale court this morning. He's previously offered to plead this way in exchange for no death penalty, something prosecutors flatly rejected. A guilty plea now would mean there would be no trial of evidence, just a penalty phase trial where prosecutors would need a jury to recommend execution.
Fox's Evan Brown. The new Texas law banning abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy is still in effect. A federal appeals court denies a request from the Justice Department to put it on hold. Italy is going hard on coronavirus restrictions.
There have been violent protests, but Italy's government is pressing ahead with some of the world's toughest coronavirus measures. From today, all workers are required to show health passes, certificates proving they've either been vaccinated, tested negative, or recently recovered from COVID-19. Italy's government had hoped the move would convince unvaccinated people to change their minds, but so far there's been no surge in demand. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
It's now at least 33 people reported dead in a bombing at a mosque in southern Afghanistan during Friday prayers. America's listening to Fox News.
Hear that? That's the sound of a man guarding his home around the clock. Because he has 24/7 professional monitoring from Simply Safe Home Security. With 24/7 professional monitoring, Simply Safe keeps watch night and day. If there's trouble, Simply Safe alerts them and will dispatch emergency help when needed. Protect your home and your sleep. Take 30% off a new system at simplysafe.com today.
If you're tired of big cable bills, you can get Newsmax TV for free. Millions are watching Newsmax. Available now on major cable systems or for free on smart TVs like Samsung, LG, and Vizio. Find it streaming on Roku, Xumo, Pluto, Amazon Fire, TiVo, Apple TV, and more. 7 million Americans have downloaded the free Newsmax app on their smartphones. It takes just seconds. Then watch us anytime, anywhere. Forbes calls Newsmax a news powerhouse. Find out why. Start watching today.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 7:03 is our time. Our temperature's actually been dropping the last hour or so. We're down to 54 right now in Columbia, 52 degrees in Jefferson City. That temperature has dropped since we had the heavy rain here about, let's say, 75 minutes ago. We're expecting the fog to continue this morning. We can see fog out the window right now. Rain continuing today. Our high only 59. Tonight cloudy, then becoming clear in the overnight hours, low near 40. Tomorrow for Mizzou football, sunshine and a high of 62 degrees. Good morning, everyone. Here are some of the stories we are working on. Drug overdoses are being more common in Columbia. Drug overdoses involving fentanyl. We have now had more than 22 overdose deaths that have at least been reported that involve fentanyl here in Columbia since the beginning of the year. That's according to Columbia's Police Chief Jeff Jones. He's warning recreational and regular drug users about the growing overdoses in the city.
What we've seen recently is that it has been mixed with other drugs, and people who would typically use a stimulant such as methamphetamine or cocaine are using fentanyl that is mixed into those substances, not knowing that fentanyl is present.
An emergency community meeting is going to be held Tuesday night at 7 o'clock at the Hickman High School Commons. That is open to the public, and Narcan will be distributed at the meeting. Chief Jones will be a guest tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, right here on 93.9 The Eagle on the CEO Roundtable. We'll be talking about the growing fentanyl issue. CEO Roundtable, again, hosted by Fred Perry. Meantime, there is still no word on any possible injuries in that vehicle crash into General Printing on North Providence. It happened in Columbia overnight. Columbia police and firefighters responding to general printing. About 2:15 this morning, they found a vehicle halfway into the business. ABC 17 News camera crews on scene report officials have been using flashlights, checking for additional damage. Again, no word right now on the extent of the injuries involving the driver at this point. Missouri's governor, has asked the Cole County prosecutor Locke Thompson and the State Highway Patrol to investigate the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, accusing the newspaper of hacking the State Department of Education's website. The newspaper disagrees. They say it informed the state about this data risk that left 100,000 Social Security numbers vulnerable to public disclosure. Governor Mike Parson briefed Capitol reporters yesterday.
Through a multi-step process, an individual took the records of at least 3 educators, decoded the HTML source code, and viewed the Social Security number of those specific educators.
The governor says the Post reporter did not have permission to decode. The newspaper says it waited to publish its story until the state could fix the problem. The newspaper attorney says the reporter did the responsible thing. The victim of Columbia's latest homicide was the assistant to the vice chancellor at Mizzou's College of Agriculture. Columbia police say 52-year-old James Hundle was found by detectives late Wednesday morning in his home. He had been shot to death. That home is in the 4800 block of Marble Cedars Drive. It's near Scott Boulevard. It's also near Longview Park. ABC 17 reports Mr. Hundle was the assistant to the vice chancellor and dean of Mizzou's College of Agriculture. The college's dean tweeting Thursday saying the Mizzou family has lost a beloved friend and also a colleague. A man from Central Missouri's California is jailed without bond this morning. He's charged with killing his father and then headbutting a sheriff's deputy. He is James Collier. Again, an arraignment date has not been set as of yet for Collier. And more than 300 job seekers packed a job and education expo in Boonville Thursday. They were dropping off resumes, meeting face-to-face, wanting to work at Kawasaki and dozens of other Boonville area employers, including Caterpillar. Boonville's Economic Development Director, Gigi Quinlan McGreevy, is praising the Isle of Capri for providing space for the event. Caterpillar, Central Bank, Boonville School District, Mizzou, CNR Markets, McDonald's, just some of the other employers on hand. They received a turnout much larger than they were anticipating. Again, well more than 300 people on hand looking for work yesterday. 93.9 The Eagle News is presented by The Candy Factory. The Candy Factory is in downtown Columbia. Anniversary, birthday, and any day. It's thecandyfactory.biz. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 7:07. In sports, citing philosophical differences, the Cardinals firing their manager, Mike Schilt. He was fired yesterday. According to KSDK's Frank Cusimano, he was fired over the telephone. Firing coming just a week after the Cardinals were eliminated by the Dodgers National League wild card game. We've got high school action, high school football coming up tonight. You just heard from Irl Shannon and Branden and Stephanie. High school action continues tonight. Another edition of the Providence Bowl. Rockbridge visiting Hickman, 100.5, 105.1 KTGR. Battle is taking on Jefferson City at home tonight. Southern Boone hosting Blair Oaks on News Radio 950 KWS. And Fulton welcoming in Kirksville on the Big 900 KFAL. Steve Mallinckrodt, Jeremy Washington, our program director, also involved in that broadcast as always. That game in the Kingdom of Callaway tonight, Fulton High School. Our sports is brought to you this hour by the Candy Factory in downtown Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 7:08. All right, thank you so much, Kevin. And the weather is presented by Steve's Pest Control. You can go to stevespestcontrol.com today. 54 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
And our traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. You can visit midmohires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. The roads right now are quiet. Again, the issue that we've been reporting on all morning, a vehicle crashing into General Printing on North Providence in Columbia. They crashed into, whoever was the driver, crashed into General Printing at 2:15 Vehicle is halfway into the business. General Printing telling ABC 17 News there is significant damage there. And again, no word right now on the extent of injuries to the man or woman who was driving that vehicle. We'll get you updated as soon as we hear back from the Columbia Fire Department. We'll have another update coming your way at the bottom of the hour. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Like the NASCAR almost logo, otherwise it would be copyright infringement.
Bonus points if you're wearing a Let's Go Branden shirt that is also red.
And this guy's close. It's orange. It's close. And if you'll see, if you're watching on YouTube this morning, you can pop this up on your smart TV. Go to 93.9 The Eagle Live on YouTube. You can watch the show on YouTube. And it's still on Wake Up Columbia Facebook page, but we thought, you know what? There's some benefit to putting it onto YouTube.
Yeah, so it's compatible with any smart device, including your smart TVs. So you can mirror it up on your TV screen. And you can watch Wake Up Columbia in like full HD, somewhat HD definition.
Whereas listener Gary, the conspiracy theory guy, who, by the way, comes out blazing this morning already via text at 874-9390. He's, what was it he said earlier this week? You guys are horrendous to listen to. Even worse to watch on the TV on YouTube.
I don't know if he was talking about all of us or just you.
It could have been just me. And we are, and you will notice we are wearing red today is something we do every Friday.
We're wearing red in honor of Red Friday, which stands for Remember Everyone Deployed.
It was something that Hannah had brought up some time ago, and then when other people said, hey, i.e. former Centralia Mayor Tim Granke told a great story about it at Boone County Lincoln Days earlier this year, and then I remember Hannah, and then Hannah, you were already doing it, really, weren't you? Pretty much wearing red on Fridays.
Maybe not every Friday, but the Fridays I remembered.
Yeah, and after she said, hey, we should make this a thing, and after other people said, hey, you should make this, I was like, you know what? I have this great idea. I'm going to go. No, I have.
This happens a lot around here. I'll pitch an idea, and then, 6 months, a year later, somebody else brings up the idea to Branden, and suddenly it's a great idea.
But I don't, all kidding aside, I make sure that I give credit to people. This was not my idea. Phenomenal idea by Hannah, and I love it when I see people on Fridays, like at the Boone County, the Columbia Pachyderm Club, who meets today. They work where we meet is by one of the Veteran United campuses, and they do something like that, where they have the employees wear red. And I always make a point when I see somebody wearing red on a Friday. I always make a point. Welcome into the show. There is Stephanie Powell.
Good morning.
Mr. Brian Hauswirth, who's in red, but Do we deduct points because it's an Alabama shirt?
Keep in mind, I do CTSN work as well. So, but wearing my red, sporting my Crimson Tide.
You're wearing red, and that's the point.
Exactly.
That's Hannah, the producer.
Good morning.
My name is Branden Rathert. Something we can do for you today, let us know. 874-9390. Earl Shannon, kid we've been knowing for a couple of years now. In the studio this morning. Great meeting him. He's a 12-year-old kid, been doing play-by-play on his dad's Facebook page. He's been doing his high school play-by-play for Centralia High School for a couple of years now. Paula wanted to know what's his dad's name. I'm trying to find the feed so I can support watching him tonight. His dad's name is Kent.
Kent, yes.
Kent Shannon on Facebook. Gary, conspiracy theory Gary is what I call him, not to his face.
How's he doing on a feel-good Friday?
Yes. Better get the kid out of the studio before he's contaminated with your Vax proteins and radiation. Very irresponsible of you. And then he goes on, have you informed him of the danger of being in proximity with you before he consented to appear?
I mean, his parents listen to the show, so I mean, we all know how you are.
I know what's up. Welcome into the show. You know who's not going to be wearing red, at least not for the Cardinals anymore? Mike Schilt. This, like everybody yesterday. What happened? What happened? It's like Hillary Clinton following her loss in the 2016 election. What happened?
Well, and it knocked it at one point, the governor going after the Post-Dispatch, which is a huge story, whether people agree with the governor or not. That was the lead story everywhere, and it was on the Post-Dispatch, but Mike Schilt's firing bumped that down, obviously, and it just surprised me. I didn't think it would come, and again, Frank Cusimano from St. Louis, KSDK, reporting the firing was done over the telephone.
And it's over old philosophical differences. Now, here's my take. Philosophical differences, we just don't like you. You do a great job, maybe too good of a job. I mean, look at what Schilt did.
Yeah.
Winning record, manager of the year, playoffs, 3 full seasons, third best record as a manager in the last 3 years in baseball. And what he did this year. And here's the thing the other thing I wonder may have got him. Because he would talk about, well, we've been, especially, in the doldrums of July and August when people said, no, Cardinals are not making the playoffs. He's like, well, we're doing the best we can with what we have. He said it more than once, and I think management took that as a dig. Okay, you got Arenado, and you did get Goldschmidt a couple years ago, but you just, and that's about as great as you can do as management. That's what I would hear him say.
Yeah, he absolutely did, and if you read between, Branden, you're exactly right. And fans like you and I, we catch that, and that to me was saying, look, the other teams go out, and don't forget the Los Angeles Dodgers were in a great position. They went out and got Scherzer. They got somebody else. They spent the money. The Cardinals have that money. They could have got Scherzer, but they didn't. And the reality is, if they had had Scherzer and not the Dodgers, who knows what would have happened. But he wanted more free agents. It was clear from those comments he wanted more free agents. And in the end, I think he was surprised. It sounds like he was surprised.
We were all surprised, and over the telephone. That's just
ouch.
And I don't know how it works in that stuff, but I would think if you're being relieved of your duties, I don't know. Do you want an in-person meeting, or if you're getting fired, would you rather it be on the phone? I think I want it to be in person. Okay, why? And is there any chance that I can argue my case against me being fired? And do I want to? If you don't want me here, I can argue all I want, and I'm probably going to be right. But do I want to stay here if you don't want me here?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I normally would think it'd be done in person, but again, they felt like that was the way to do it. Frank Cusimano must have. Well, only 2 people were on the phone. One of them told Frank, we don't know which one. One of them obviously told him he was fired on the phone.
How does that work? It'd be like getting dumped over the phone or via email or social media.
Email somehow feels worse than a text. I don't know why.
It does.
It's like more formal, like you're dumping them.
It's like it's official. So if somebody wants to go back and do a public records request maybe on some of your stuff, it's in email. We got it. And you think I'm not high tech.
I know you're not high tech.
2002, I will have you all know, I got dumped via email in 2002. Wow. Chris McManaman, who worked at the College of Southern Idaho.
What did you do to get dumped?
What didn't I do? It was philosophical differences.
Oh, okay.
There were some things that I wanted to do, and there were some things she thought I shouldn't be doing in a relationship. Have you ever lost a job or ended a relationship?
I've never been fired. I have ended 2 relationships via phone call, which I still didn't feel great about, but at the time felt like the best option because I knew if I had to do it in person, I wouldn't ever do it.
You ever been fired, ended a relationship over the phone, anything like that?
I mean, I've never been fired or been dumped, Branden. So.
White woman syndrome.
There it is.
No, not to, have you ever dumped anybody or ended a relationship?
Not really. Chris and I started dating in high school, and so he did try to dump me, but
you wouldn't let him.
We went to a park, and it was our senior year, and it was the week of graduation, and I said,
"Oh, classic."
Yeah, and I said, you know, if you just think you're going to dump me right, because he wanted to go to college single, right, to be with all the college girls. We were going to the same college, unplanned. And so in May, I said, if you think I'm just going to be your girlfriend all summer and then you're just going to dump me the week before college, then you should just dump me now. And I and he was like, okay.
Okay, and he did?
Yeah. And so I cried all through high school graduation and everything.
Aww.
But then we got to college, and he learned the error of his ways.
Man.
Yeah.
He circled back on that decision.
Yeah, he thought all the college girls would be flocking to him, and then it was exactly the opposite in that I had a whole lot of choices, and he suddenly realized, maybe I should.
He reimagined he evolved on the issue.
Pretty quickly.
We can laugh about it now. It was not funny at the time it happened.
And see, that's knowing Chris, man, your husband's a stud. I think I'm man crushing on the dude. I can't believe that even happened in your all's relationship. What's hot with Hannah today?
Well, I got a sprinkle gate.
Sprinkle gate.
That's all I can really say about it.
93.9 The Eagle. Watch the show on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page.
Tomorrow we're doing the 93.9 The Eagle Tiger Tailgate. We'll feed you, we'll drink it. It's all free, but first you have to go to places like Macadoodles in Columbia. You can also go to the Boone Hospital Wound Healing Center. There's locations in Mexico, Fulton, Jefferson City where you can pick up your free passes. All of this stuff is posted on our website, 939theeagle.com. 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:27.
time for What's Hot with Hannah.
So a Karen reported a bakery in Britain for using illegal sprinkles.
Illegal sprinkles. What?
Illegal sprinkles.
Sounds like the name of a rock band from
Right?
like 2001 or something. Illegal Sprinkles featuring Sum 41.
The name of the bakery is Get Baked, which I thought was kind of clever.
Nice.
But the bakery had apparently purchased some sprinkles that were made in the United States, and they had an ingredient in them that were illegal in Britain. It was like a red food coloring. And somebody reported them to like their equivalent of the health department, and they got shut down for a couple weeks for illegal sprinkles.
Wow. Isn't that amazing? Some of the things that people, they'll snitch about. And we say, and listen, we saw somebody got burned recently. There was an emergency landing at New York's LaGuardia Airport because a woman thought she saw something look suspicious on board. So they come in, they stop the flight. Everybody's lives disrupted for several hours while they yanked this guy out of the airplane and they put him on the ground. They looked through his bag and were shocked when they discovered parts for a real fancy camera. But she thought she saw something, so she said something. But this is just being a cranky snitch.
Well, and unfortunately, I mean, it is illegal in Britain, so they did get into some trouble over this. The owner was quoted as saying the change was very effing annoying.
That's one way of putting it. This is Wake Up Columbia. What are you feeling good about today? What are you grateful for? You can feel free to share 874-9390, 874-9390. Jamie says, I'm feeling good. It's Friday, and I only have to work half a day. Good on you, brother. Bill Clinton hospitalized. How come? Fox has his story at 7:30. Brian Hauswirth is here. A homicide investigation in West Columbia. Then 7:35, Wake Up Columbia family member Brad Tregnago joins us. Why Mizzou will upset Texas A&M this weekend.
Call Steve and the pros at Steve's Pest Control today to help stop the fall pests from invading your home. Call or go online to stevespestcontrol.com. It's 56 degrees.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. Pushback as a midnight deadline looms for police in Chicago to report their COVID vaccination status.
The numbers we have are probably around half are not. But even the ones that are still, like myself, believe that a forced mandate is absolutely wrong.
John Catanzaro, head of the Chicago Police Officers Union.
If officers don't comply, they'll be sent home with a no-pay status. Now, 2 letters from aldermen asking the mayor to reconsider the mandate. Marty Quinn and Matt O'Shea writing, the 8th and 22nd districts are already strained for officers and resources, and our residents should not have to experience even longer call responses.
Fox WFLD Chicago's Elizabeth Matthews and dozens of people have died in a suicide bombing attack on a Shiite mosque in southern Afghanistan. More than 70 people are hurt. America's listening to Fox News.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. Our time is 7:31, 53 here in Columbia, 52 degrees in Jefferson City. Sunrise at 7:17 this morning. Hard to see because it's still cloudy. We had some very heavy rain about an hour and a half ago in Columbia, and that rain will continue on and off. Then cloudy skies tonight, a high only 59 degrees. It'll start to clear tonight, the overnight low around 40, and tomorrow for Mizzou football, sunny in a high of 62. Good morning, and here are some of the stories we are working on. Mizzou's mask mandate will expire tomorrow. UM System President Dr. Moon Choi making the announcement Thursday. He says the mask requirement enacted in July was never intended to be permanent policy. So again, the mask mandate still in effect today. It expires tomorrow, 12:01 a.m. Columbia Police are encouraging you to attend Tuesday's emergency community meeting about the increasing number of fentanyl-related overdose deaths in the city. Police Chief Jeff Jones says there have been at least 22 overdose deaths in Columbia this year, 7 happening in August, another 4 in September.
It's really become an issue that we cannot manage on our own, and it begs us as a community to step forward and do something.
Chief Jones, CPD, Columbia firefighters, and the health department have organized Tuesday night's town meeting at Hickman High School to be in the Commons. Starts at 7 p.m. The chief and the health department, Scott Clardy, will discuss the issue in detail with my colleague Fred Perry tomorrow morning at 7, right here on 93.9 The Eagle on the CEO Roundtable. Columbia police officers and firefighters still on scene as we speak at General Printing. That is the scene where a vehicle crashed into the building. Happened about 2:15 this morning, 1900 block of North Providence Road. ABC 17 crews, Ben Fine, the reporter on scene, reports the vehicle ended up halfway into the printing business. Also knocked a light pole over. Ben Fine reporting CPD officers were out all night. They were searching the area with flashlights looking for additional damage. General Printing's owner says the vehicle caused a lot of damage to his property. Again, authorities still on scene this morning. The vehicle is still inside the business. Detectives investigating a homicide. It happened in a home at Marble Cedars Drive here in Columbia, the west side of town. CPD investigators say 52-year-old James Hundle was found shot to death. They had responded to the home for a well-being check. The police department says there were factors suggesting a suspicious death. They're not elaborating right now. No arrests have been made. Detectives encouraging anyone with information to call Crime Stoppers 573-875-TIPS. Mr. Hundle was an employee of the Kaffner program. Kaffner, the University of Missouri College of Agriculture here in Columbia. And an arraignment date has not been set yet for a California, Missouri man. He's charged with killing a man this week. Montauk County prosecutors charging James Collier with first-degree murder. My colleague, 93.9 The Eagle's John Marsh, reporting this morning that the victim in this case was Collier's father. 93.9 The Eagle News is presented to you live by the folks at Willett Dental Associates. Willett Dental Associates. You can contact him, 573-445-5300, WillettDentalAssociates.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:34. In sports, the Missouri Tigers facing number 21 Texas A&M at Faurot Field in Columbia. Mizzou is 3-3. They beat North Texas 48-35 last week. Aggies upsetting number 1 Alabama last week. Aggies have an outstanding team. One of their best players is Seth Small. You hear his name quite a bit. Maybe the best kicker in college football. Tomorrow is Gold Rush game. You're encouraged to wear gold for the Missouri game. Kickoff set for tomorrow morning, 11:03. High school football action continues tonight at Mid-Missouri. We should have good weather by then. You're going to need a jacket. Certainly have that handy tonight. Providence Bowl, Rockbridge visiting Hickman. My colleague Andy Humphrey on the call, 100.5, 105.1 KTGR. Battle taking on Jefferson City at home tonight. Southern Boone visiting, or hosting, I should say, Blair Oaks on KWOS, AM 950. Kevin Kelly, the call there. And Steve Mallinckrodt in the Kingdom of Callaway. Jeremy Washington as well. Fulton welcoming in Kirksville, the Big 900 KFAL. Our sports is brought to you live by Witt Print Shop, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:35.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit midmohires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. Not seeing anything right now that we haven't already reported or seeing anything or hearing anything. However, if you do see something, certainly give us a call, 573, or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
My pinky hurts, I'm tired, my legs are tired, I'm sweaty, I'm hot, I don't like this. And my hands are dirty too.
Kids say the darndest things. It's a kid with his take on hiking on a feel-good Friday. He's out with the family, and his mom and dad say, "Oh, little Jordan, what did you think about hiking today?" "My pinky hurts, my head hurts, and I'm tired." And I'm sweaty. I love it. On a feel-good Friday, welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. I am Branden Rathert. There is Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Stories of your kids ever saying any weird things that get you, as a parent, I've got, like when Trevor was a wee bit kid, man, and they always did it at the most inopportune times. Like at Thanksgiving, the family stands up to say a prayer before we sit down to eat this great meal, and me and my first wife's first big Thanksgiving get-together in our brand-new home, and Trevor, bless his little 6-year-old heart, never forget that. Your kids ever got you on something like that?
Yeah, they say, I guess my daughter said a cuss word last week in front of my parents. But it was my parents' fault, and my sister. They were watching TV. I think they were watching Ted Lasso. That has bad language. And the kids were in a different room, but then they'd moved, and the almost 5-year-old heard a "what the bleep."
Oh. Which bleep? The F?
The F.
Whoa.
And she goes, "That's not very nice to say. What the bleep?" And repeated it. So she knew it was wrong, but then she repeated the full phrase. And so anyway.
Well, she was just quoting. I mean, she had to be accurate.
Right. It's not bad if you say it. If you can say, well, so-and-so said this, then you're completely released of responsibility for saying
I'm blaming Grandma and Grandpa for that one.
Hannah posted something really cool on Wake Up Columbia's Facebook page earlier this week regarding kids saying weird things. It was the daughter, I guess this little kid, who's talking about how mom and dad grow grass or something like that.
No, they grow weed.
Grow weed. There's a great video on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page if you want to check that out. When I was young, when we lived in the desert of Tucson, Arizona, I had a little, I don't know if they make these things anymore, a little stick horse, and it's got the little thing, and the horse's name was...
hobby horses? Is that what those are called?
Yes.
Could be, yeah. And they were like $3, and all day you'd ride this broomstick. Somebody took the broom off and just crammed a horse's head on it. And that's how you entertained yourself. The horse's name, I could not say for the life of me. I could never say the horse's name. And I would get it wrong every single time. And so, like, we would have friends over for get-togethers, and I'd go want to get my horse. Could never get the horse's name right. And it would come out as a bad word.
So what was the horse's actual name? And then maybe we can use our imagination.
Freckles was the horse's name. Let's welcome in Wake Up Columbia family member Learfield's Brad Tregnago. You hear him on the Mizzou football broadcast. Mr. T, welcome in, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Your kids ever embarrass you and the wife at, like, really inopportune times, say things that are like, whoa, where did you get that from?
Well, I was thinking when Stephanie told her story, I had one of those too, where one of my kids said a word that they're not supposed to say at that age, and it was kind of funny because it was during breakfast too, and I hadn't really woken up yet. And the kid the kid busted it out, and then I'm like, wait, hold on, what? Say it again. It's like, hey, you can't say that, man.
Hey, wait, repeat what you just said. Learfield's Brad. Brad Tregnago. You hear him on Mizzou pregame, halftime, and postgame show. Wherever you go in the state of Missouri, if you're listening to Mizzou football, you are hearing Brad Tregnago. He's promised us a tasty dad joke. But first, Brad, here's my take. Why Mizzou? Why is Mizzou going to upset Texas A&M?
Well, the Texas A&M that played Colorado and only won by 3, and the Texas A&M that lost to Arkansas and was dominated by Arkansas, and the Texas A&M that lost at home to Mississippi State is the one that shows up. Not the one that beat Alabama last week. That would be the key. Because, I mean, the talent's there for A&M, but like I said, I mean, they lost. It's crazy. They play Arkansas and Mississippi State, a couple teams that, are okay, but certainly not at Alabama's level. They lose, and they score a combined 32 points. Then they play the number 1 team in the nation, and they score 41. And so it's a team that certainly has been inconsistent, and the hope is that you kind of catch them on a hangover after one of the biggest wins in recent memory for that program. It's an 11 a.m. kickoff. You throw all those factors together, and maybe that works in Mizzou's favor.
Perhaps. I think Mark from Facebook disagrees. He said Mizzou's dropping its mask mandate so students don't drown in their tears after getting destroyed by A&M.
And that brings me to my second question, Brad. Why is Mizzou going to get hammered tomorrow?
Well, I mean, A&M's got a lot of talent. They showed that in the game against Alabama. Zach Calzada he's in. The quarterback who was starting for them at the beginning of the year has been hurt and may not be coming back this year with his injury. And Calzada has stepped in, and he was, like I mentioned, I mean, there's pretty uneven performances there. And then against Alabama, he's the SEC's offensive player of the week. He throws for nearly 300 yards. He got hurt late in that game last week, came back, led them on the drive to set up the game-winning field goal. So maybe he's a guy who's starting to come into his own. They've got a couple NFL-level running backs. Isaiah Spiller is one, although it's not clear if he's going to be healthy enough to play. Devon A-Chain is, and he is, he is Tyreek Hill level fast, and that's not an exaggeration. He was an Olympic trials competitor for the United States in the 100 meters and the 200, and so he had a kickoff return last week that made Alabama players look slow, if that gives you an idea. So, I mean, they've got talent there. They've got NFL guys up front. So they've got the dudes. So the key will be, can Mizzou play well, and maybe you catch A&M on an off day.
Brad, I'd want to follow up, and exactly right about Devon A-Chain. That's what I wanted to ask you about, because if Mizzou is in a tight game, and I saw that play at 98 yards against Alabama, no one even, and the Alabama's players are fast, nobody even touched Devon A-Chain. I just wonder if you're Mizzou, you can't kick to Devon A-Chain. He averages 45 yards per return. Their kickoff team ranks number 2 in the nation. It's hard to believe somebody could be ahead of that. But you almost have to kick it out of the end zone. But with that speed, how do you stop him? Because nobody from Alabama even touched the guy. It was incredible. I've never seen anything like it.
2 weeks in a row. Here's the thing. We've got to rethink this.
Is he there?
No, he's gone. This happened last week, too. So think about this. Brad Tregnago with Learfield Sports.
Are you putting your tinfoil hat on right now for a conspiracy theory?
Yeah, but check this one out.
Okay.
So this happened last week, too, and I love having him on, and he promised us a good dad joke. So now somebody's going to have to help us out at 874-9390. Remember what happened last week?
Yes.
Brad wraps up his Mizzou visits with the dad joke, Brad's dad joke. And we lost Brad, and guess what we spent the next hour and a half talking about on the show?
Dad jokes.
Thanks to our listeners at 874-9390. Here's what's going on, I bet. His home office now is in Jefferson City.
Correct.
So he's driving to Jefferson City right now, probably getting ready to cross the bridge. Where is he right now? Probably.
There's a dead spot before that.
I'm
and
thinking Hartsburg because that's the Hartsburg.
On the bottoms?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's down by there's a dead spot there, but there's also a dead spot near the bluffs. And the bluffs, which would be closer to Claysville, I believe, and the trail there, and you lose it. And it's a good mile that you lose cell service altogether.
Yeah. So
if somebody in mid-Missouri ran on you will have full cell service up and down 63, I think they would get elected, honestly.
Brad, if you're listening, we love you. So that's so the timing of, because this has happened more than once now, and it's happened in 2 consecutive weeks where we just lose him. It's not his fault. I'm thinking it's just where he is as he is going into work.
So when I was on the phone with him before we brought him on air, he even apologized for last week. He said he didn't know what happened because he was in a spot where he always has service and the call just dropped.
But here is Brittany to help us out on a feel-good Friday with a dad joke. Brittany, welcome into the show. What's your dad joke for us this morning?
What is a pig's favorite karate move?
What is a pig's favorite karate move?
The pork chop.
Brittany, we love you. Thanks for bailing us out today.
You're welcome.
All right, and that's one of the things that I feel good about on a Feel Good Friday. Coming up a little bit later, Fox News is here. Bill Clinton hospitalized. What's going on with him? We will have that for you. And then also another hard right turn on this law out of Texas. They will have that. And coming up 8:35, we are going to be nominating, not picking. Pumping and hydrojetting. Pro pumping and hydrojetting. As a matter of fact, I got to chat with John Martin a little bit yesterday. He was here at the radio station and was chatting with him. And it just occurs to me, listen, I'm not going to hire somebody to do stuff for me just because they're a nice guy. I'm not going to hire somebody to do stuff for me just because they are a small local business owner. I'm not going to hire somebody like Pro Pumping and Jetting just because it is a tremendous work environment and they treat their employees well. Those are all good things, but I'm not going to hire you to do my septic tanks, lagoons, what have you. I'm not going to hire you based on those reasons. You still have to do a good job, and I'm willing to pay the right price for a good job. And that's what they do at Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting. That's why people keep calling them back. That's why they have return customers. That's why you should call the folks Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting. You can start by going to their website, pro-pumping.com.
All of us hip folks are watching Wake Up Columbia on Facebook. Are you? 93.9 The Eagle.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. It's Carol Baskin.
Carol Baskin is back. She's got her own investigative show now.
Okay.
It's a docuseries, Discovery Plus docuseries. And it's what she's going to do. She's going to go out and investigate, like, zoos, roadside zoos especially, that have allegations of history of animal abuse.
So the same lady that has been rumored to have killed her first husband
Gets TV show.
gets a TV show investigating other people's crimes.
Mm-hmm. Send an email 10, 11 years ago, and you have to resign, and you lose endorsement money. She is interesting now, and I say she's said some interesting things about the whole Tiger King TV show,
Which is the most beautiful dumpster fire I have ever watched in my life.
I would go back and watch that whole thing again. It is. You're right. It is a beautiful dumpster fire
that you can't stop watching. You watch the first episode as a joke, and then you're on episode 4 and you don't know what happened.
happened.
You come to, and it's just...
She said some interesting things, and this is, it's important because we're kind of seeing this. Katie Couric is kind of getting slammed. She did an interview several years ago with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg highly and appropriately critical of Colin Kaepernick. Katie Couric edited that out from the interview. Her reasoning, I didn't want Ruth Bader Ginsburg to look bad. She's a journalist. Journalist for ESPN. We all know the guy, Adam Schefter. Like, when it comes to NFL stuff, he's like one of the top when it comes to inside stuff on the NFL. Well, apparently, and this has to do with the Gruden thing, he did a story and sent it to the Washington football team's, the Redskins. Sent it to the Redskins owner, because they were the Redskins at the time. Sent it to the owner, but it was a story that had to do with him, and he sent it to him before he published it and said, hey, does this all look right? He was saying, well, I just wanted to fact check. That is something you don't do either, but that is some of the real things that some of these news outlets, people in journalism, that's some of the things they do. And Carol Baskin has said, listen, when Netflix or whoever put this thing together, they came to her and said, we want to do a documentary about, specifically, they didn't say it was going to be this whole thing about Joe Exotic. They said, we're going to, we want to highlight people that run these roadside zoos.
Well, I mean, they did that.
They did.
It's kind of a flowery definition of what they did, but they did that.
And I'm wondering, was that something like, did they know what they were getting into? Or maybe the producers at Netflix that put together Tiger King, maybe they were going to do this thing on roadside zoos, abused animals, things like that. And then they met Joe Exotic and said, hold up, let's make a right-hand turn and go with it.
Well, didn't Carol Baskins try to sue Netflix for the way she was portrayed?
That sounds familiar.
Because she very much was kind of made into the villain in this docuseries, whatever you want to call it.
Because she whacked her husband.
And she said they made her look goofy.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens.
I don't think Netflix.
That's like saying that I make Branden look goofy.
Yeah.
Like, he does that all on his own.
Yeah, Netflix did not make Carol Baskins look goofy. Hey, we're always doing traffic reports, and we also want to highlight sometimes when we're seeing a string of issues at the airport, which I'm guessing if you were or plan on flying, just so you know, you can always check the Columbia Regional Airport's website, but some cancellations.
Yeah, I know, we had Ken on the show earlier this week, and he said, it's just a Southwest weather thing. And I saw yesterday a tweet that American had canceled 800 flights yesterday. Those first 4 flights out this morning look like they're either canceled or delayed, and that's on both American and United.
First 4 flights out of Columbia.
This morning, 10:15, 6 a.m., 7:10, 8:45, 101. Canceled, delayed. So if you're flying, you need to keep your eye on your airline status.
Can we get that one more time real quick?
Bill Clinton hospitalized. We'll find out why. Coming up with Fox News here at 8 o'clock. And there is a homicide investigation in West Columbia.
President Clinton's in the hospital. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. He's in intensive care in California with an infection. His wife Hillary was with him last night.
Former President Clinton is said to be recovering well after a urological infection sent him to a Southern California hospital on Tuesday. We received a statement from the hospital, University of California Irvine Medical Center, which says Clinton was admitted to the hospital for close monitoring and administered IV antibiotics and fluids. After 2 days of treatments, his white blood cell count is trending down, and he is responding to antibiotics well.
Fox's Mark Meredith. Food and Drug Administration advisors today consider whether to recommend booster shots of Johnson & Johnson's coronavirus vaccine. Another version is on its way to recommendation.
All 19 members of the FDA's Vaccine and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee voted in favor of Moderna coronavirus vaccine booster shots, even though some of the member physicians had some doubts. Dr. Patrick Moore.
But the data itself is not strong, but it is certainly going in a direction that is supportive of this vote.
A similar group of advisors at CDC will need to vote. The concept is to make the boosters available for seniors and immunocompromised persons. Eben Brown, Fox News.
A new Fox poll finds a tight governor's race in Virginia between Democrat Terry McAuliffe and Republican Glenn Youngkin.
The latest Fox News poll of Virginia likely voters shows McAuliffe leads 51% to 46%, with 3% undecided. Former President Obama, Speaker Pelosi, and Stacey Abrams being some of those expected to try and help send the Democrat over the edge. President Joe Biden is also joining in on that fight, despite 49% of likely Virginia voters disapproving of his job performance. That's according to a Fox News poll.
Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. Part of U.S. Highway 101 closed by wildfire in Southern California has reopened, with firefighters making progress. America's listening to Fox News.
Hear that? That's the sound of a man guarding his home around the clock. Because he has 24/7 professional monitoring from SimpliSafe Home Security. With 24/7 professional monitoring, SimpliSafe keeps watch night and day. If there's trouble, SimpliSafe alerts him and will dispatch emergency help when needed. Get free shipping with the order of a new system at simplisafe.com today.
If you're tired of big cable bills, you can get Newsmax TV for free. Millions are watching Newsmax. Available now on major cable systems or for free on smart TVs like Samsung, LG, and Vizio. Find it streaming on Roku, Zumo, Pluto, Amazon Fire, TiVo, Apple TV, and more. 7 million Americans have downloaded the free Newsmax app on their smartphones. It takes just seconds. Then watch us anytime, anywhere. Forbes calls Newsmax a news powerhouse. Find out why. Start watching today.
93.9 The Eagle News with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:03:52 right now. In Columbia, it's 51 degrees. In Jefferson City, we are expecting a high today of around 59 degrees. That rain will start to taper off by the evening. Then clear skies tonight, mostly cloudy, a low near 40. Tomorrow, sunny, and a high of 62. Good morning, everyone. Columbia Police are encouraging everyone to attend next Tuesday's emergency community meeting. It'll be Tuesday evening, Hickman High School, about the issue of the growing number of drug overdoses involving fentanyl. The authorities are saying that they've been having to administer Narcan at a number of drug overdoses that they're working. Columbia Police Chief Jeff Jones is warning recreational and regular drug users, including cocaine users, about the growing number of the fentanyl-related overdoses in the city.
What we've seen recently is that it has been mixed with other drugs, and people who would typically use a stimulant such as methamphetamine or cocaine are using fentanyl that is mixed into those substances, not knowing that fentanyl is present.
The police chief is encouraging everyone to attend the emergency meeting Tuesday night at 7 in the Hickman High School Commons. Again, everyone is welcome. Fred Perry, my colleague here at 93.9 The Eagle, will have Chief Jones and also Scott Clardy from the Health Department as his special guest tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock right here on 93.9 The Eagle on the CEO Roundtable. Meantime, there's no word on any possible injuries in that vehicle crash into General Printing. Happened overnight, North Providence Road. Columbia Police firefighters responding to the scene about 2:15 found a vehicle halfway into the business. ABC 17 camera crews on scene report officials have been using flashlights checking for additional damage. We're waiting to hear back from Columbia Fire Department for more information about what happened. Missouri's governor has asked the Cole County prosecutor Locke Thompson in the State Highway Patrol to investigate the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. He's accusing the newspaper of hacking the State Department of Education's website. The newspaper disagrees. They say that they performed a service by informing state officials about a data risk that the newspaper says left 100,000 Social Security numbers vulnerable to public disclosure, primarily teachers. Governor Mike Parson sees it differently.
Through a multi-step process, an individual took the records of at least 3 educators, decoded the HTML source code, and viewed the Social Security number of those specific educators.
The governor says the Post reporter did not have permission to decode. The newspaper says it waited to publish its story about the State Department of Elementary and Secondary Education until DESE could fix the problem. The newspaper's attorney says the reporter did the responsible thing. The victim of Columbia's latest homicide was an assistant to the vice chancellor at Mizzou's College of Agriculture. Columbia police say 52-year-old James Hundle was found by detectives late Wednesday morning in his home, shot to death at home in the 4800 block of Marble Cedars Drive near Scott Boulevard and also near Longview Park. ABC 17 News reports Mr. Hundle was the assistant to the vice chancellor and dean at Mizzou's College of Agriculture. The college's dean tweeting Thursday saying the Mizzou family has lost a beloved friend and colleague. We have more on the story, 939theeagle.com. Anyone with information that has information on the case, Crime Stoppers, 573-875-TIPS. A man from mid-Missouri's California remains jailed without bond this morning. He is charged with killing his father and then headbutting a sheriff's deputy. He's identified as James Collier. Collier is 45 years old. An arraignment date has not been set as of yet. In more than 300 job seekers and students packed a job and education expo in Boonville Thursday. They dropped off resumes wanting to work at Kawasaki and dozens of other Boonville area employers, including the University of Missouri, Central Bank, as well as McDonald's. Boonville Economic Development Director Gigi Quinlan McGreevy is praising Isle of Capri for providing space for the event. Caterpillar, Central Bank, Boonville School District, just some of the other employers on hand yesterday. Again, more than 300 people on hand for the event. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you on this Friday morning by Woods Basement System. They're the most reviewed contractor for all things with your basement. 800-388-9326 for a free estimate. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:07. In sports, citing philosophical differences, the Cardinals firing their manager, Mike Schilt. The firing coming just 1 week after the Cardinals were eliminated by the Dodgers in the National League wild card game. College football, the Missouri Tigers facing number 21. I've been saying number 21 all morning. There's 2 polls. One poll has them at 21. The other one is number 18. Either are accurate. We've been going with 21. The Aggies coming into town at Learfield in Columbia tomorrow. Mizzou 3-3. They beat North Texas last week, 48-35. Aggies upset number 1 Alabama. Tomorrow, Gold Rush game. Fans encouraged to wear gold. Kickoff is set for tomorrow morning at 11:03 for Learfield in Columbia. Central Bank Tiger Radio Network coverage will begin at 9 on KTGR and also on The Rocker, KCMQ 96.7. 93.9 The Eagle Sports is brought to you by the Callaway Bank. The Callaway Bank is with you for the moments that matter. Our news time, 8:08. Kevin, thank you. Great work as always this morning. Our weather is brought to you by Steve's Pest Control. Call or go online, stevespestcontrol.com. 52 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit midmohires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Again, a reminder that those of you heading to work this morning will notice a vehicle inside The General Printing Building, which is across the street from McKnight. There's a lot of other buildings in that area, a lot of businesses. That happened about 2:15 this morning. Authorities have been on scene all night. A lot of police presence there, fire department presence as well. Not seeing or hearing anything else on the roads. If we're missing something or we need to know about it, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Elk is going to be okay. Kind of an odd story. They couldn't. So like there had been sightings. It was almost like this mystical thing, and people didn't believe it. Did you see that elk with the tire? The elk with the tire on its neck. People were like, yeah, sure. Sure enough, more people started to sight it, and then eventually wildlife officials, they would see it, and it was showing up on game cameras, and it took them a couple of years before they ever found this thing. Wow. And thank goodness they were able to kill it and take the tire off. They didn't kill it. They
captured it.
Captured it and knocked it out, gave it some drugs. Knocked it out. Didn't euthanize. They didn't kill the elk. Sure. Hey, look what we did.
They stunned it.
They stunned it. Got the tire off. Welcome into the show. It is a feel-good Friday. What are you feeling good about? The other thing that I feel good about is Brad Tregnago. Learfield's Brad Tregnago does Mizzou women's basketball play-by-play. And if you're listening to broadcast of Mizzou football, you hear him pre-game. You hear him in the middle of the game, post-game. And he's doing dad jokes for us 2 weeks in a row now. He must be hitting the flats on his way to Jefferson City because we've lost him right in the middle of visits, and he's always promising us dad jokes. People are coming through, though, off the text, 874-9390. How can you tell when it's a dad joke? This from listener Mike at 874-9390. How can you tell when it's a dad joke? When it's apparent.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
If you're an American when you walk into the restroom and you're an American when you walk out of the restroom, what are you? This has to be one of the oldest dad jokes of all time, I think. And I love it. American walking into the bathroom. American walking out. What are you while you're in the bathroom?
European.
Oh, my goodness.
And sometimes Russian to the bathroom.
I got one.
Yes.
Where does Brad keep all of his dad jokes?
Where does Brad keep all of his dad jokes? I don't know.
In his database.
Feel good. I just love this. Thank you so much. One of the other things that I am grateful for today, I am grateful. As a matter of fact, we're going to be nominating winners and losers of the week. 8:35. We do it every Friday at 8:35. We do it most Fridays at 8:35. And we were picking winners and losers, and somebody got upset because we picked Bill Maher for a winner, and some dude got really triggered by it. And so we don't pick winners and losers anymore. We just nominate them. And it's up to you to decide. Meanwhile, Parson, Post-Dispatch. This is interesting. Here's my take on it. Because I'll tell you the text we've been getting on this. None. But either way, it's a pissing match between the governor's office and the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Post-Dispatch, in my take, they don't like them. And this thing with this database, was it a hack, whatever it was? I see it, and without you having to offer an opinion, Mr. Hauswirth, can you say whether or not you agree with my assessment?
I think in terms of it being this match, it is. Now, if there, I don't disagree with that. If there is something, now the governor is saying that they actually went beyond it, took 8 steps. And again, I don't know we don't know exactly what the 8 steps were. He still says that they violate a particular state statute, which would be a misdemeanor. And that'll be up to the Cole County prosecutor. But, you take all that out of the equation, and the governor obviously believes it's a hack. He and the Post-Dispatch have not gotten along. I mean, that's pretty obvious. There's no doubt about it. I've noticed tension, and it's worse with a couple of other outlets down there. But the one thing that you certainly have to say is if these Social Security numbers and if these personal information was on the website for as long as a decade, which is what some reports have said, that is troubling. And again, the newspaper's argument is, look, we brought it to Desi's attention. We held off on the story. So just two completely different perspectives.
How much as a taxpayer, how much do I have to pay for these investigations?
$50,000 is what the governor is saying.
I'm willing to pay that. I'm willing to pay an extra 1/8 of a cent on park sales tax. I'm willing to pay $50,000, which, by the way, I am not. That November 2nd election, I would highly, and I'm sure it'll pass. It's Columbia.
Sure.
The Columbia Park System, they'll get their money. They get money. They told us yesterday $5 million, I think, from the general fund. They get $2.9 million from a permanent 1/8 of a cent dedicated tax. This extra 1/8 of a cent, which people are going to vote on November 2nd. Mm-hmm. That's renewable. They get several $1 million from that. I would highly,
3.1.
Yeah, and I would highly encourage you to vote against. They'll still get their money, and they'll have to rethink how they do parks, and I'm okay with that. 874-9390. Before we get into David's phone call, he's got a dad joke. I want to chat with John. John, welcome into the show. What's on your mind today?
So on the hacking of the website, when you create a website, you have to code it to keep people from getting on there and changing it. It's like your Facebook, your personal page on your Facebook, and it's not something you just go into and any page you can go into and just do what you want. You have to have the information, and you have to have like a key to be able to get into it. And what the St. Louis Post-Dispatch was they started taking a ring full of keys and sticking it into the site until they found a way to get past the security. That's why the governor's upset. And KMIZ 17 last night brought this up, but they didn't mention the fact that they went through 8 steps to get to this. They hacked this website. It's not like it just came up and they were able to maneuver through it and find this stuff. They actually made an attempt to get in there to look at things they were not entitled to. That's the problem.
And sir, I appreciate your perspective on that. Two reactions to what you're saying. Number one, obviously the Cole County prosecutor has the case. It's probably going to be his jurisdiction because it is Cole County, although the Attorney General's been asked to investigate it as well. But if that's the case, and the governor mentioned the 8 steps later, I wish the governor would have at the press conference said the 8 steps and explained the 8 steps, because he put it out in a statement and we have no idea what the 8 steps were. That's all we have from him. And he didn't say that at the actual press conference.
John, thank you for the phone call. And the other thing that I would say is that to our conversation earlier this morning, I would think those reporters for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch who, based on articles, headlines in the past, which apparently a lot of times the writers of the articles don't write their own headlines.
No, they don't. Those are written by editors, and primarily my understanding from the Post-Dispatch is the editors are copy editors or even out of state. They've had a lot of layoffs, but no, the reporters don't write the headlines. They do write the stories, of course.
Is that okay? So how did a reporter from the Post-Dispatch know about this in the first place, short of discovering by accident? Somebody would have tipped them off. Right. So who tipped them off, and why would you go to a report? If you see you have a problem with your company's IT stuff, if we have a stuff and people are getting into inappropriate files here on the radio station, I'm not going to call Brian Hauswirth. Hey, Brian, here's what... I'm going to go to our engineering department, our IT department, and say, hey, I think we have a problem.
And we don't know. It could be a reader. It could be a reader that reached out. I mean, the Post, to their credit, does break a number of stories. And keep in mind, they have 2 guys full-time, 2 reporters full-time at the Capitol. That's all they do is cover state government. But it's very possible the tip came from a reader and not someone within DESE. We just don't know. They obviously are not going to release that.
Or from a Democrat operative, right?
or there's that. Yeah,
but
maybe.
Keep in mind, this dates back to when Nixon was governor, reportedly. So I mean, but obviously he's the governor right now. But it could be as long as 10 years this problem's been out there.
This off the text 874-9390. I'm no expert, but I think a 2-year boyfriend anniversary qualifies as an engagement.
No, who said that?
Chris. Text 874-9390. Another dad joke before we slide into the morning bell with Stephanie Bell. David, what do you got for us?
Hey, Roy Rogers, he finds him a pair of these lovely Tony Lava boots that he just fell in love with. So he come at night, he sets them right outside the door on his porch. In the middle of the night, this mountain lion come down the mountains and just tore those boots all the heck. In the morning, he saw him. He was furious. He grabbed his 30-30, jumped on his horse, went up the mountains, tracked this mountain lion down, shot it, threw it over the back of the horse, and then he rode up to his farm, and tail Evans stepped out on the porch. You know what she said?
What?
Pardon me, Roy, but is that the cat that chewed your new shoes? Have a good one, guys.
David, thank you. We appreciate you being a part of the Wake Up Columbia family on 93.9 The Eagle. Stephanie Bell, what do you got for us in the morning bell?
Maybe some relief for folks that were stranded last weekend.
All right, that's coming up. We'll do that about 8:25 on 93.9 The Eagle.
putting the fun in dysfunctional. Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle.
Hey, apparently a power outage in the Harrisburg area. One of our listeners is reporting and went to a website regarding power outages, and apparently about 200 customers through Boone Electric Co-op. According to this website, power outage is showing that some folks are there without power. It's 8:28, time for the Morning Bell business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
So we've talked about the disaster of this last weekend that was Southwest Airlines. It's still kind of unclear why everything went so south, but now they're saying, you know what? We're sorry. And they're giving out travel vouchers, but they're kind of doing it in a sneaky way. They're just emailing certain people. So if you were a person affected and you haven't gotten your travel voucher, you need to, get in on it, because they said they're ranging from about $150 to $300. And I'm thinking, if I was stranded for 24 hours, would I feel better about Southwest if they gave me $200?
Or do you get more mad? Are you Chevy Chase's character from Christmas Vacation, where finally my Christmas bonus comes, thank God. And then you open up your Christmas bonus on Christmas Eve in front of all the family, and it's a Jelly of the Month club. Is that your reaction? Right. Coming up, Fox News is here. Another hard right turn on that Texas abortion law. Fox News has this. And a homicide investigation in West Columbia. Brian Hauswirth has that story. Then 8:35, winners and losers of the week.
Call Steve and the pros at Steve's Pest Control today to help stop the fall pests from invading your home. Call or go online to stevespestcontrol.com. It's 53 degrees.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. A Trump-era policy making a comeback.
The Biden White House now plans to reinstate President Trump's Remain in Mexico policy as soon as next month, in compliance with a judge's order from earlier this year. The administration says the policy implementation hinges on approval from Mexican authorities.
Fox's Eben Brown. The plan requires asylum seekers to remain in Mexico while waiting for their immigration hearings. Consumers kept spending in September, according to the latest numbers in from the Commerce Department reporting.
A jump for September retail sales of 0.7%. We were looking for a decline of negative 0.2%, a gain of 0.8% for if you strip out the autos. So those are stronger than expected.
Fox's Cheryl Castoni. Some analysts warning, though, that supply chain disruptions could be spreading beyond the auto industry. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 8:31 is our time. 52 right now in Columbia. We've been dropping all morning. We're expecting a high today only around 59 degrees. It is currently 50 degrees in Jefferson City. Our sunrise this morning, 7:17. Our sun will set at 6:34 tonight. Good morning, and here's some of the stories we are working on. Mizzou's mask mandate expires tomorrow. The UM system president, Dr. Moon Choi, making the announcement Thursday, saying the mask requirement enacted in July was never intended to be a permanent policy. Missouri's governor is accusing the St. Louis Post-Dispatch of hacking the State Department of Elementary and Secondary Education's website. That's DESE. Governor Mike Parson says a Post reporter accessed source codes and then converted and decoded data to obtain Missouri teachers' personal information. The newspaper disagrees. They say its reporting was responsible. The Post says it held off on publishing its story until DESE could fix the data risk. The Post says that they informed the state officials about the risk, saying the data risk left 100,000 Social Security numbers vulnerable to public disclosure. The governor has asked the Cole County prosecutor, Locke Thompson, to investigate, the attorney general as well. The governor says the reporter took 8 different steps to access the data that he is referring to. A man from Central Missouri's California is jailed without bond this morning. He's charged with killing his father and then headbutting a sheriff's deputy.
The Montauk County prosecutor has charged James Collier with first-degree murder and assault. California police called in troopers early Wednesday for help with the death investigation at an apartment at 310 South East Street. There, officers found a dead man in the apartment and Collier with blood on his clothing. Collier headbutted a deputy, but later told officers under interrogation that this was my fault. He admitted to fighting with the victim in another interrogation, saying he didn't remember exactly what happened. Patrol does not confirm the name of the person killed, but reports say the victim's name is William Collier, and James Collier is William's son. John Marsh, the Eagle, 93.9.
In Columbia, police are encouraging you to attend an emergency community meeting about the increasing number of fentanyl-related overdose deaths in the city. Police Chief Jeff Jones says there have been at least 22 overdose deaths in Columbia this year since January involving fentanyl. He says 7 happened in August, another 4 in September. He, the health department, CPD, Columbia firefighters are all involved in Tuesday night's town meeting at Hickman Hall. One of the groups that will be speaking to the public on Tuesday will be overdose survivors. The chief and the health department, Scott Clardy, will discuss this issue in detail with host Fred Perry. You'll hear that interview in its entirety tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, right here on 93.9. It is the CEO Roundtable. Our news brought to you this morning live by Hemi Construction. Hemi Construction, homes and lots in the southwest neighborhoods of Chapel Hill Meadows, Nursery Heights, and Creek's Edge. Our news time, 8:34. In sports, we'll start this hour with high school football. The high school football action continues in mid-Missouri this evening. Another edition of the Providence Bowl. Rockbridge will be visiting Hickman. It's always a great game. Years ago, they used to play this game at Faroe Field in Columbia. Hear it tonight, 100.5 and 105.1 KTGR. Andy Humphrey on the call tonight. Battle taking on the Jefferson City Jays at home tonight. Excuse me, at Battle High School. Fulton welcoming in Kirksville, the Big 900 KFAL with Steve Mallenkraut, and Southern Boone hosting Blair Oaks. News Radio 950, KWOS, Kevin Kelly on the call. Our sports is also brought to you this hour by Hemi Construction. Our news time, 8:35.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Roads have been pretty quiet all morning today. We did have some very heavy rain right around 5 o'clock this morning, maybe just before 5 here at the radio station, and then it tapered off. But after that, temperatures have dropped. Roads have been pretty quiet with the exception of the situation where the vehicle went into the general printing store, and that is on North Providence Road. It is still there. Avoid the area if at all possible. If you have any other information, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390, and more team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. I gotta admit, that's probably the most nigga I've made in a long time. I walk in the doctor like, give me the third best option. I'll have what the homeless people are having.
Hey, that's the vaccine I got. Johnson & Johnson. Dave Chappelle, by the way, I'm going to be nominating here for Winners and Losers of the Week, Netflix. That is from I watched the Dave Chappelle's Netflix special last night, Closer. I'll tell you this, when Dave Chappelle was on Comedy Central, his show was funny and smart, and I loved it. His stand-up comedy, I take it or leave it, never been a big fan, but I know it, like everybody's been talking about this, and there's a reason why folks have been talking about this latest special. And I will say this again, I didn't find it that funny. It was okay, but it was more smart than anything. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. There is Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Mr. Brian Hauswirth.
How you doing?
Is here. That is Hannah, the producer.
What up?
My name is Branden Rathert.
And now for nominees for the Winners and Losers of the Week on 93.9 The Eagle.
Hannah, good work on that, man. You did an awesome job.
I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Thank you, though.
We'll give you credit. All right, winners and losers of the week. We can't pick winners and losers. We can only nominate them. We did it a couple of weeks ago. We were picking Bill Maher as a winner of the week, and somebody got triggered by it because they said, well, Bill Maher, he picks winners and losers, and he's a leftist. And I'm like, have you watched Bill Maher recently? He's more independent than anything. I'll tell you, Bill Maher, he goes after both sides. And recently, I think, and here's what happens that I see with a lot of people, the older you get, I believe, the wiser you get, the smarter you get. You have life experiences. There are some exceptions, but you will.
You saw the look you were getting, and you backpedaled a little.
Caught that. But you do. You get more experiences. You know, if you're 30, you have experiences that a 20-year-old doesn't have. When you're 40, you have experiences. You have more experiences. You get more information. And you change your morals and what you think is important. I think that changed. And Bill Maher is one of those that has evolved. And some guy got upset. He said, well, you're picking Bill Maher. You've been highlighting him all morning. And he picks winners and losers. And the guy wasn't happy that we picked him as winner of the week. And he got triggered. So we thought, you know what? I'm going to pretend like I'm an attorney in Boone County. And the dude was triggered. So I'm gonna pull picking winners and losers because it hurt his feelings, and it's all about feelings. And we're just going to nominate winners and losers. Stephanie, any nominations this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think the governor, right? We had the big Rocheport Bridge, bolt turning. Right. But, you know, he said from the very beginning his priorities were workforce and infrastructure, and that was a huge win on both accounts. So the governor and I'd say mid-Missouri, that's a huge project for us.
Another winner of the week that I would like to nominate would be, I'll save this. You know what? I might pick a winner of this. No, I can't do that. I'll get in trouble.
You just spent 5 minutes talking about why we don't do that. Come on now.
I'm evolving on this issue. Just like that. I would nominate Alan West as one of the winners of the week. Former head of the GOP party and GOP gubernatorial candidate in Texas.
This should not be about forcing people to take a certain shot, but we should be offering and making sure that people are aware of all of these protocols that are out there in your relationship with your doctor and your body. That's the key thing that I've learned.
Again, he's saying what so many people have been saying all along is like, listen, these mandates, as we can see, Joe was on TV yesterday issuing, please, and he's not calling on people to get vaccinated. He is asking your workplace to make you get vaccinated. Please. He said, please, yesterday, asking more. And Alan West saying, listen, give us the information. I think mandates have probably the opposite effect in a lot of situations. By the way, whenever Missouri put up that website, that MoVIP, where you could register to win all kinds of prizes and stuff. The idea was that we're going to do this, and more and more people are going to get vaccinated. The number of people that got onto the website to try to win some prizes, I think the number was minuscule. It was like 51,000 got vaccinated after the website and the incentives went online.
Is anyone regretting putting their personal information into a website run by the state now? I had that thought yesterday. And, you know, I did have the thought about, like, for example, like prescription drug monitoring. There was so much hate on people. And Missouri's the last state and blah, blah, blah. And if you raised privacy concerns, people were like, we have to do it. Every other state's doing it. And I'm thinking all those people who said, I have concerns about the government having my information yesterday, I think had a little bit of validation and just, I think there's reason to have concerns.
Senator Mike Moon was the leading person in the legislature who's from Ash Grove that was raising that point about he was worried about the database.
All right.
I have another winner of the week.
Okay.
Listener Daniel, I posted a picture of him on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. I mentioned earlier that if you're wearing red today and you're also wearing a red Let's Go Branden shirt, you get bonus points. And Daniel delivered. He has a red t-shirt on this morning, and he taped a sign to his front that says, Let's Go Branden, and he gets bonus points because he spelled Branden Rathert's name correctly, which is with an E-N.
Wow.
I'm going to nominate this guy, too, then, for winner of the week. Daniel, thank you for that.
The poor old man can barely read, you see. The kind of you get when you vote commie. If I tell you once, it might as well be twice. You won't tell me which horse I'm riding. Let's go, Branden.
There's rap versions of Let's Go Branden out there, too. All right. We want to move along to nominating. We're not going to pick losers. This is a safe space. Do we want to nominate some losers of the week? Who do you got?
Well, I don't have anybody off the top of my head. I'm just saying, let's do this thing.
Okay. This is Axios' Margaret Talev claiming on CNN, making false claims.
Let's just say for the record, just in case anyone doesn't know, they don't teach critical race theory to kids in K through 12 schools. That's not a thing anywhere in the country.
Just flat out wrong. It's not even worth spending any more time for. I will nominate Nancy Pelosi. Just blatant. The media this week, she doesn't like the way it's the infrastructure package, which is really mostly about socialism and social programs. She doesn't like the way the media has been promoting this.
Forward, how do you sell this if ultimately you have to... Well, I think you all could do a better job of selling it, to be very frank with you.
And
just blatant.
And I wasn't here last Friday, but another nomination for loser of the week is like Kansas City mayor and Kansas City council for trying to defund the police, and they got slapped by the court and said you can't do that. So that was, I think, last Thursday. So definitely a win for KCPD and a loss.
And people, and we're seeing it here locally. Some of these people locally that you would think, oh, they're defund the police. They're on news outlets this week saying, following shootings and down, we need more police. We need more police on the streets. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna nominate citizens of Centralia, by the way, for getting involved in local government.
And the mom that showed up to the school board meeting, what was her name? It starts with an N. Marissa. Yes, showing up, asking questions.
Winners and losers of the week, folks that we are nominating.
I have one more.
Yes.
Mizzou's mask mandate expires after today.
But didn't they have an interesting note?
It was confusing. I had to wait until Brian Hauswirth analyzed it for me and told me what it said.
Yeah, and that technically it goes through today, through midnight. 12:01 is when that expires. But I have one I'm going to nominate, and that is Branden Rathert, for playing something that serious note here, I have not heard in years. It brings up a lot of great memories for me and my grandmother, and that was The Young and the Restless Naughtiest theme. You played that this week, and my grandmother
You watched The Young and the Restless with your grandma?
Oh, we're talking about like 1975, but she actually said that was the most beautiful song she ever heard. I hadn't heard it in years. There was a time when I think they tried to change the theme, and in the old people, like my grandmother,
there was a revolt.
They did not want it, but I mean, and they named that Naughtiest song because it was I believe, either a
Naughty Comenasis figure skater or something.
Yeah, I think she was a gymnast or a figure skater, but beautiful song. But I nominate Branden for playing it because it brings back lots of memories.
It's not very often Branden gets nominated for winner of the week.
I got nominated for one of the losers of the week last week because I responded. It was a company-wide email, and I responded all.
You replied all?
Yep.
Oh, that's like, you're going to get a nomination for loser of the year for that.
See, Stephanie needed to be here when I brought that up last week because nobody truly appreciated what I was saying, like Stephanie Bell just did.
Oh, yeah. That is like a major, major flaw.
I appreciated it. I was like, yeah, you're right. I did, because it's something I never do, but I was in the morning, and it was like, yeah.
The fact that it was like at 4 a.m. makes it work.
Yeah, because everyone's like, what on earth? And then they just shake their head, probably like, Rathert.
Somebody else we're nominating for loser of the week, Vice President Kamala Harris.
Earth is kind of small. Yeah.
Earth is kind of small.
Oh, my gosh.
Is it? And it's not because, and don't misunderstand me.
Earth is kind of small. Yeah.
I'm not just nominating her because it's like nails on a chalkboard there, but she's promoting job recruitment for NASA. in this video where they paid kids to be in this video. They paid these kids to say things. They paid these kids to ask the vice president some questions so that she could answer with things like,
Earth is kind of small.
But if you look at polling, that's the number one concern Americans have right now, job recruitment for NASA. And number two.
Oh, yeah, really? Yeah. Just like Centralia is the second largest city in Boone County? We'll put those on the same list.
And ultimately, I think for one of the winners of the week, I spent some time with Attorney General Eric Schmidt this week. He was in Columbia talking about fentanyl. And guess where this fentanyl has killed, I think last Brian Hauswirth checked, 22 people in Columbia. Guess where fentanyl is coming from? It is coming from Mexico. It is coming across the border illegally. It's coming across illegally. Anyhow, Eric Schmidt and I, we were chatting, and we were talking about these parents. Locally, as Stephanie highlighted, the parent that called in earlier this week following school board meeting in Columbia, I am nominating for winner of the week, local parents getting involved in what's happening in schools.
It's very encouraging that families and parents, moms and dads are showing up and letting their voices be heard, whether it's the forced masking or CRT, which is, teaches our kids to despise this country. I'm encouraged by the number of people who are showing up, which is why it was so outrageous that Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, is weaponizing DOJ and the FBI to go after parents who just want the best for their kids, and why we immediately fired back and said, you don't have any jurisdiction here to do that.
So after Eric and I were done talking about opioids and fentanyl and coming across the border, we talked about, what about these parents? And of course, Eric Schmidt, he too is a parent. And those are the nominees. For Gap's Automotive Repair Shop. Now, I have a car that's got like 130,000 miles on it. It's almost as old as Hannah is, but man, it drives. It's smooth and it's in good condition, and I take care of it. And part of me taking care of that vehicle is taking it to a local. I don't want to take it to a dealership mechanic. I just don't want to. And here's why. I want to take it to, and I get it, your stuff is in the computer. Hey, here's what we worked on last time, and I'm not knocking those types of mechanics. But for me, with a car that's as old as mine, I like the fact that Gus and his crew, they're the same mechanics that have been working on my car for 5 years. And to me, that's important. It's not just, it's in the system last time. They know my car. I love it. It's like really a family doctor. We joke about the comparison, but I have a family doctor I've been seeing for 5 years. He knows my stuff. I don't have to go every time, and he's not just popping. He knows me. Gap's Automotive Repair Shop. They know my car. They know what I want. I have a relationship with them, and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of having somebody like Gap's Automotive Repair Shop on your side. Check them out. Try them for a while. Gap's Automotive Repair Shop, Vandiver in Columbia.
This is the show people are talking about. Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. 93.9 The Eagle.
All right, before we get out of here and make way for the Gary Nolan Show at 9 o'clock, the big event happening tomorrow is going to be the 93.9 The Eagle Tiger Tailgate. This is free. It's going to be in early Tiger Tailgate in anticipation of that 11 o'clock kickoff, 9 o'clock in the morning. Layer up, going to be a little chilly tomorrow morning. You can get free passes. We give you plenty of food. There's drinks, everything. And Jeff City, you can go to any Speedy P's location, Vaughn Pools and Spas in Fulton. Tacos and tequila. You can also hit up that tacos and tequila in Mexico, in Colombia, Crumble Cookies, Plasma Biological Services. Maybe the easiest thing, go to our website, 939theeagle.com, and you can find the location that is nearest you. Quick text, 874-9390, winners and losers of the week. Forgot to mention Netflix, specifically the CEO of Netflix, Ted Sarandos. I am nominating him because, and I still don't understand this, Dave Chappelle's stand-up piece, it's comedy, and people are lashing out, well, you're talking, it's transphobic humor, and he definitely points out the baby, which I guess is a rap artist or something. He's in effect been canceled because he was on stage at a show talking about transgender people and whatever. The guy shot and killed somebody in a Walmart. Didn't affect his career. Talked about gays and transgenders and the lesbians and the queers, the LGBTQ community. Gets canceled for that. The piece, the closer, people, you got to take it off. The Netflix CEO, Ted Sarandos, said,
not doing it.
We're not canceling it. We're not. So, nominating him for winner of the week. Another local one from listener Josh says he is nominating for loser of the week. He is nominating Wake Up Columbia. What? He says for giving in to overly sensitive people. Because we were joking. So we have, and he gets it. He just,
yeah.
I said, you get it. He's being funny. We get his sense of humor. I like that. And we'll take the nomination. You know what? Instead of Kamala or Nancy Pelosi or any of those folks bearing the brunt of being loser of the week, we'll take it.
And Josh will mail you your participation trophy.
Losers of the week. We'll take it. Gary Nolan Show is up next. See you Monday. Bye.
Bye.